Good evening. I'd like to call to order the Board of Commissioners' regular meeting. Today is Wednesday, August the 13th, 2025. It is 6 p.m. City Attorney, would you please lead us in the invocation and Pledge of Allegiance?
Our Father in heaven, we come humbly before you to ask your divine guidance and help in our deliberations this evening. Bless the members of the commission and the citizens that are present. We pray that our work this evening will find favor in your sight. This we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
City Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Brooks.
Here.
Vice Mayor Kerr.
Here.
Commissioner Taglerini.
Here.
Commissioner McGinn.
Here.
Commissioner Gabai.
Here.
All are present.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Do we have an approval? A motion?
Make a motion to approve the agenda as written.
Do we have a second?
Second.
City Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Vice Mayor Kerr.
Yes.
Commissioner Taglerini.
Yes.
Commissioner Gabai.
Yes.
Commissioner McGinn.
Yes.
Mayor Brooks.
Yes.
The motion carried 5-0.
With no proclamations on the agenda, the next item is presentations, and we have a check presentation.
Mr. Jay Hatch, our Recreation Director, to present to the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office Explorer Post.
So good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. This check presentation actually goes all the way back to Seafood Festival that we hosted in March. There is a group within the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office that is the Public Safety Cadets. Part of the event, we park vehicles at the Madeira Beach Fundamental School, and in an effort, kind of a joint effort, we utilize the Sheriff's Office Safety Cadets to help park cars. And in that same manner, it ensures the school that we do have some sort of security there. So it's a good partnership through that. Traditionally, they do not charge for their services. It's part of the stuff that they do. So as per our conversations with that, a donation is being made to the cadets for their program. So with us, we have Deputy Strong, Deputy Frey, Captain Janelle Anderson, Sergeant Tyler Butts, and Corporal Alina Snitko that are here to accept the check on our behalf. So it is a $2,000 donation to their program. And then we are actually, I sent an email earlier today, we're in the process of planning our next seafood festival, and we're having discussions with them to join us again as well. So it's a big thank you from us to them for their services and their help with the event. But I'm just going to go ahead with the check presentation if you guys want to come up here.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Corporal. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Good to see you.
Next on the agenda is public comment. Public participation is encouraged. If you are addressing the commission, step to the podium and state your name and address for the record and the organization or group you represent. Please limit your comments to 5 minutes and do not include any topic on the agenda. Public comment on agenda items will be allowed when they come up. If you would like someone at the city to follow up on a comment or question made at the meeting, you may fill out a comment card with the contact information and give it to the city manager. Comment cards are available at the back table in the commission chambers. Completing a comment card is not mandatory. For any quasi-judicial public hearings that might be on the agenda, an affected person may become a party to a quasi-judicial proceeding and can be entitled to present evidence at the hearing, including the sworn testimony of witnesses and relevant exhibits and other documentary evidence, and to cross-examine all witnesses by filing a notice of intent to be a party with the Community Development Director not less than 5 days prior to the hearing. Do we have any public comment?
John Hendricks, 569 Normandy Road. Couple of things. One, I was looking to see if the property the city was talking about buying is on tonight's agenda. I thought it was going to be voted on. Am I overlooking it, or is it on here?
It is on the agenda.
On the agenda.
Okay, well, I'll hold that then. I sent each of you a copy of an article that was in the Beach Beacon. It was talking about Seminole, and I had previously had this discussion with Leslie Waters. City of Seminole has a population of 20,000. Madeira Beach has a population of under 4,000. City of Seminole has 160 employees. Madeira Beach has 80. The budget for this upcoming year for the City of Seminole is $28.1 million. The proposed budget, I understand, for Madeira Beach is $46 million. That's outrageous. When a budget is presented to you, it's a wish list that all the department heads have come up with. It doesn't mean you have to approve it. You need to go through this budget line by line. There are a ton of things that can be scratched off there. It's totally out of hand, and y'all need to really look at that and see where you can trim it. There's got to be a lot of fat on there for a city this small to have a budget that big. Last year, Seminole's budget was 31 million, so they've cut it back. What we need to be doing, if we've got excess funds, don't just spend excess funds for the sake of spending excess funds. Go to the rollback rate. Give some property owners in this town some relief. Everyone is struggling now. You know, a lot of people paid out of pocket to fix their houses back up. And you need to look at our millage rate. Although it's low, it's one of the lower in the county. But if we've got extra money, it's not extra money to spend frivolously. It's extra money to give back to the residents. So go to the rollback rate. We say we don't raise taxes every year, simply not true. We don't raise the millage rate. That doesn't mean we're not raising taxes, because the value of the properties are reassessed every year. So the people are paying more in taxes. I, for one, and I know there are many others that self-funded restoring our house. And we're on fixed incomes. We're old folks. You know, if we've been here a long time, it costs a lot to buy a house out here now, but in 1986 it didn't. It was just a little retirement home. And I'm not the only one that's in this situation. There's a lot of people that are in that situation, and you've got to get a handle on this budget. Last year's budget, I thought, was outrageous. I think it ended up being, around 42 million? When I was in office a couple of years ago, you know what the budget was? I know a couple of you do. It was 25 million. How did we go in a couple of short years from 25 million to 42 million, now 46 million? I'm surprised the doors aren't getting beaten down here with people upset about how high this budget is. And on top of that, I don't see good management going on in the city. I see street sweepers go by down the street at 20 miles an hour. They're not even picking up anything. We're wasting the money on having a contractor do it because they're in a hurry to get home. They're just running down the street with the brushes turning and not even picking up anything. And there are a number of instances I can mention. Our garbage rates, we raised them a few years ago to keep that first-class service. But we don't have that anymore. We got one guy on an automatic truck. He does what he can, but it's not the service we had. You need to look at what you're charging on those garbage rates now. It has to be much less than what residents are being charged because you got one guy on a truck, not three guys on a truck. So y'all need to go through that budget line by line and make some tough decisions. That's what you're up there for. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any additional public comment? Please.
It's, my name's Tove Westgarden, 590 Normandy Road. I'm kind of falling in line with John, but I look at it a little bit differently. So if it's 7,000, or if it's 4,000 residents in Madera Beach with 28 million budget, that's $7,000 per person that the city is spending to provide whatever the residents get out of it. 7,000. If you're increasing the budget to the proposed 47, that'll be about $12,000 per person. $12,000 that the city spends on running what they need to do for one person a year. It's insane, absolutely insane. Millage rates, John said that it's one of the lowest in the county. I just spent 5 minutes looking up millage rates at the beaches, and I went northbound. North Reddington Beach, $1. Bel Air Shores, 55 cents. Reddington Shores, $1.69. Reddington Beach, $1.81. Indian Rocks Beach, $1.83. Indian Shores, $1.87. Bel Air Beach, $2.04. So we're at $2.75. All these beach communities have a lower millage rate than us. I don't think they have the parking income we have. Tourism here is probably better than there. Why is our millage rate higher than theirs? That's kind of what I wanted to talk about when it comes to the budget. I do have one question. So during the last storm, most of these houses got flooded, and I know that some people were living at City Hall. So where do I sign up to get a key to City Hall so I can live at City Hall if my house gets damaged during a hurricane?
Are those all your comments?
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do we have any additional public comment? With no additional public comment, we will move on. The next item is the approval of the minutes. If the commission has had the opportunity to review the minutes, do you have any comments?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes as written.
Do we have a second?
Second.
City Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Vice Mayor Kerr,
Yes.
Commissioner Gabayie.
Yes.
Commissioner Taglerini,
Yes.
Commissioner McGeehan,
Yes.
Mayor Brooks.
Yes.
The motion carried 5-0.
Next on the agenda is the consent agenda. I'm going to read through the items that we have in the consent agenda. A is approve fiscal year 2026 Gulf Beaches Public Library annual budget. B, approve fiscal year 2026 PCSO annual law enforcement services contract. C, 2026 John Deere Gator purchase. D, TruVac trailer purchase. E, interlocal agreement with Thompson Consulting Services for debris monitoring. F, Pinellas County Joint Participation Agreement Area 5. And G, Area 3 Construction Engineering Inspection CEI approval. Does anyone have anything on the consent agenda that you would want to pull?
Madam Mayor, I would like to pull item 9D and 9G.
9, what's the first one?
9D and 9G.
Okay. Attorney Trask, just because we have only done this a couple times, do I still open this to public comment?
Yes.
The consent agenda, okay. Do we have any public comment on any item on the consent agenda? Commissioners, do you have any other comments on the consent agenda? Then we will remove D and G and place them in
You would just handle that right after you just
Right
do a
after
motion
this?
to approve A, B, C, E, and F.
And then we'll do D and G
Then
directly after.
you address
Okay.
D and G following that.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda items A, B, C, E, and F.
Second?
City Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Vice Mayor Kerr,
Yes.
Commissioner Taglerini,
Yes.
Commissioner McGeehan,
Yes.
Commissioner Gabay,
Yes.
Mayor Brooks.
Yes,
The motion carried 5-0.
thank you. So then next on the agenda will be the TruVac trailer purchase.
So this is Commissioner Gavahi. You had a question, you wanted it polled. Did you want to discuss it, or did you need a presentation?
I think we should probably listen to a presentation if that would be possible.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. This item that we discussed at the workshop, this is due to rather than purchasing a street sweeper, which is over $400,000, and as it was mentioned in public comment, yes, we do contract that out. The contracted price is $2,500 per month for the same amount of sweepings that we previously did with our street sweeper. Our street sweeper was flooded during Hurricane Helene. We did receive $295,000 from insurance to replace that street sweeper. But prior to Helene, that street sweeper was in poor condition and not running, which was the reason why it was not evacuated off the island. So the purchase of this TruVac trailer is to help us to, one, we can use it to sweep up debris in the streets. We can also use it to clean our stormwater system. We can use it for, if there is an item that we need to, for some reason, excavate with the ground, we can use it for that as well. I am here to answer any questions you may have.
So how often would you be using this equipment?
I don't have a set time. It's going to be as needed, but I could tell you just this past week, we could have used it twice.
Have you checked to see how much it would cost to lease or rent?
They do not lease or rent these trailers.
In
This
other
is a
words,
contracted service that we would
Yes.
have to.
What I meant to say actually was to engage a company to do this for us. That's what I really meant.
We have contracted with a company to come and clean out storm drain inlets, but as you all are aware, we have a title problem here. So with trying to contract that service, there's two different companies that we use. One is FCS and the other is Seminole Septic. On many occasions, when we've contracted that out and they've had scheduled dates, they've come out and the tide was too high, so we were not able to clean out the storm drain inlet. So that is one of the disadvantages of contracting that out. And every time a service like that is contracted, at a minimum, it's $2,500.
Okay. Well, let me just say, my problem with this is, number one, having to store the equipment, having to have the land to store the trucks, and number two, the cost of it, which is pretty expensive, $143,000 for the equipment. And of course, then you have to have the manpower, and you have to have insurance and maintenance schedule, so forth and so on. So I just, I'm not sure if it's the best use of our money, and I just wanted to put that out there for the commission to think about and to discuss.
I was going to let y'all talk first. Do we have any public comment on this item?
Good evening, everybody. $150,000 plus insurance plus labor. That brings the cost to probably $2.25, $2.5. Is there some way that I am sure the county or the state has a piece of equipment that we could pay them for a day or do a barter service so that we don't have this cost? Because we're just, again, pushing the budget up with all this stuff that's going on. It's just a suggestion, hoping that we can find a solution, but somebody else has got to have this piece of equipment. I mean, the county's got to have 2 or 3 of them, I would think. or even more than that. So,
Do we have any additional public comment? Megan, do you have any questions?
No, I just have comments.
Okay, can you address the last speaker's recommendation? Do you know anything about whether or not the county has something?
I have not reached out to the county, but we've been in a situation where we borrow equipment before, and it's not worked out well.
And if we don't purchase this, what's our alternative?
We would just contract out the service. We wouldn't be able to continue to maintain our storm drain system as well as what we could when we had the street sweeper, because we use that for cleaning out the inlets.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor?
Based on the conversation we had at the workshop, it makes perfect sense to have this piece of equipment and be able to use it as needed and not have to work around anyone else's schedule. It's a fraction of the cost of the original piece of equipment. That was purchased how many years ago?
The street sweeper originally, 2018.
2018. And it does a better job.
From the demo that we witnessed, it did a great job.
It has a wider range of use.
Yes.
It's not something to maintain, since it is a trailer, it's not something to maintain. You have to tag it and insure it, and it's trailered out and used and put back into storage. And you said you use this on a regular basis.
It will be used multiple times a month, yes. And it will be insured, but it will be added to our blanket, which
But I'm saying,
we
it's not
add
like it's a
equipment to
tagged
that
piece of
often.
equipment.
It doesn't have to be tagged as long as it's used for city business.
Yeah, so I support it 100%.
Thank you.
Commissioner, do you have any comments?
Just a couple comments. We had talked about this before. What were the couple instances that you could have used it last week or just a few days ago when it rained?
So as everyone's driving around the city and you notice the amounts of dirt in the curb line that are coming from the properties, we could simply use this trailer to go down and suck the dirt right out of the curb.
Many of those construction spots aren't
They are a
using
mess.
that silt fencing also, so
Yes.
a lot of that's getting into the roadway, into the drainage. So what's the impact of, I know that it's going to be able to go to like hard to reach spots down in the drain
Yes.
inlets.
Yes, I think it had over a 10-foot reach.
And it's a powerful
Yes.
piece of equipment that can really clean that out. Because
Yes.
that's very, very important, as we all know. So I'm basically for what we're going to pay for it. I'm for it, so.
Thank you.
So I would just like to clarify a couple things. For anyone that missed the previous meeting where we workshopped this, and we talked about that the city really doesn't have a fiscal impact per se on the purchase because we're using insurance proceeds to purchase it. Although that is still money that the city has, the money being used to pay for this is coming off of the insurance proceeds that we received for the street sweeper. And for staffing, the staff is already working. This is just something else that they would get added to whatever it is they're doing in the city that day. I support it. We all talked about that before. So do we have a motion?
I move that we approve the purchase of a TruVac trailer from Environmental Products Group.
Do we have a second?
A second.
City Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Taglerini?
Yes?
Commissioner McGeehan?
Yes.
Commissioner Gabayey?
No.
Vice Mayor Kerr?
Yes.
Mayor Brooks?
Yes.
The motion carried 4-1.
Next on the agenda would be Area 3 Construction Engineering Inspection CEI approval. Commissioner? This is you. You
I'm
pulled
sorry.
it.
No,
Your questions?
I was, well, the cost just seems to be extremely expensive for a person or a company to just oversee construction from time to time. What I read, it just seems like, $185,000, and you've already started construction apparently June the 9th,
We did.
according to, so it's been 2 months, we've been 2 months into it. So I'm just thinking $185,000 for maybe a duration of 200 days or so for construction. It just seems to be excessive. It's a lot of money for somebody just to inspect and oversee, and, there isn't really a whole bunch of work to do. I can understand, you can look at some shop drawings, you can, I'm in that environment, so I know the extent of work. I just feel $185,000 is a lot of money for 200 days for one person to just, provide this service for us.
To clarify, it's not just one single person. It's actually a team of two. And it's not just an oversight. It's somebody on the ground multiple times a day. And this contractor has been very needy. There is a lot of conflicts that we are hitting, probably at least 2 or 3 a day. So this is not just a oversight. This is approval of submittals. This is change in items that we are hitting. Just today, we had 3 conflicts with the water main. Yes, that is Pinellas County's, but we're working in conjunction with Pinellas County. So this person has the best interests of the city. This ensures that the contractor is installing the product to the plans and also ensuring that they're billing the city properly. Every project that we've done for a roadway project has had CEI services done by the engineer to ensure that the questions by the engineer are answered in the field and we're not stopping progress on the project.
When you say conflict, do you mean like unforeseen, because it's underground, nobody could tell
Yes.
where the pipes were?
Yes.
Are these conflicts based on gravity and water/force main, or is it based on, let's say, storm and sanitary?
All of the above, including Frontier. So Pinellas County has in multiple places 2 or 3 different water lines that they have in the ground that they don't know that are there, and they're not sure which one is live. So on multiple occasions already, and even just today, Pinellas County's out there, you're digging up a section of the road that wasn't in the project plans to try to figure out what line is live, to figure out where you can change and where you can get that connection. We couldn't do the water main connection today because of a conflict. There's been issues where Frontier hasn't been marked, and Frontier is running in places where they weren't supposed to go. So then you have to adapt in the field, and it has to be engineered in the field to be able to accommodate and meet all of the standards that you're supposed to meet. So everybody says that every utility is supposed to be at 36 inches. That's not correct. We have water lines that are at 6 inches below grade that are unmarked. We have water valves that are in places that are unmarked, and Pinellas County has absolutely no idea that they were there.
So who was the engineering company that designed this?
That designed it, this has been going on for several years. So it started out with, I believe, Dual, and then it went to Trans Systems, and it's with Trans Systems.
Okay, so they would be responsible to address any field conflicts and advise how to build it to go around the conflicts.
They're not going to do that service for free, because they do all of their preliminary work to do GPR, to do all of those items, but that still doesn't mean that they're going to re-engineer and come out. You're going to have to pay time for somebody to come out on site.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to belabor this, but with gravity pipes, they should be responsible because you should know the invert of all the pipes and how they interact. As far as water, which is pressure, and also, power, other wires is what I'm trying to say. That just can be field relocated. You don't have to, you don't have to be highly educated to just do that. And anyhow, I'm sorry. I'm just not for it.
Do we have any public comment?
Good evening, everyone. Chuck Dillon, 529 Madera, Lillian Drive. To your questions and comments, Hoosh, what's supposed to be there is what is there is apples and oranges. And when we were doing the Crystal Island project, you go down the ways and it's not supposed to be there. Okay, so what do you got to do? And it does seem kind of excessive to me, but they have to happen. And to have somebody in the field to be able to make decisions at the time, otherwise the project would go on forever. This is part of the reason the Crystal Island project went so well, is because there was somebody from the engineering company that was able to make those decisions. And she got on the phone with the engineer, okay, we got this problem, what do we do with it? And it's I don't want to say split second, but it's a thing that you have to take into account immediately. Otherwise, the project sits. And if it sits for 2-3 days, then you got to start all up again. You've got the breakdown. You also have potentials of people, so the water gets shut down. So who all is going to be without water for 3-4 days or a week? And it's just, it's a nature of the beast. And I agree, I'm not sure whether 185 is much, but I think typically there is a certain percentage of the project that is figured for that person to oversee the things. And that's just my knowledge of it.
No, but you can talk again in a minute. You can't have a conversation with him.
Thank you.
Do we have any additional public comment? Now, commissioners' comments?
All right, so what I was alluding to, you have to have inspectors out in the field, no doubt, but the cost of it is what I have a problem with. It's the cost, not having an inspector out there to verify what's happening and what's being built. Thank you.
Additional comments, commissioners? No,
Can I ask Megan another question?
please.
So, Megan, you mentioned incidents or problems on the project. Can you contrast what happens during one of these incidents before we have the consultant, and then what would happen after we have the consultant? How would it impact us differently?
Well, as Mr. Dillon stated, you then shut down. If you don't have somebody on site that you can make the changes, the engineered changes, the contractor's not going to make the call. They are looking for the engineer to sign, seal, stamp it, submit a drawing before they construct it any different way. So if you have the engineer, they can do that on site. If you don't, you're looking at days. And another point to Mr. Dillon's comment is then you're looking at change orders for the construction workers being down days. And then you're adding days to the contract period.
So CEI Services has the authorization to solve the problem on the spot.
They do.
Yeah, sounds like a good plan to
I
me.
also forgot to mention that we do have a grant on this project, so we are on a time frame.
Comments?
To me, it makes perfect sense. You have to have a construction manager on site that has the city's interest in heart. It's a 200-day project, and you have 2 people there daily.
Yes.
That's $500 a day per person. It's reasonable, roughly.
And for Megan's point, a lot of the contractors too, historically in the last couple of years, not only is it the manpower that's down, but sometimes they'll demob from the site to go work somewhere else, and they will charge you demobilization and remobilization, and that is very expensive. So to keep the project moving is huge.
I mean, I definitely understand that if you don't have someone there, the cost for dead days, those aren't free. So that's going to be upcharges. Just to clarify for commissioners' comments on the cost, this is a company, I can't remember if it was bid out or if it's one of the piggyback contracts.
It's one of our contractors.
Okay. So, I mean, I think the price has been vetted. It may not look like a good price on paper because looking at $200,000 is hard to swallow when you think about, when you're just thinking about somebody overseeing, but I think it's just so much more than that, is my understanding. So any additional questions?
Actually, that was one of the comments or questions I was going to ask if this was bid out. And
This was part of our engineered contracts.
okay, thank you.
Do we have a motion?
I move the approval of CEI services in the amount of $185,000 to provide construction oversight and regulatory coordination for the Area 3 roadway and drainage improvement project.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
City Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Taglerini?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kerr?
Yes.
Commissioner McGeehan?
Yes.
Commissioner Gavayi?
Yes.
Mayor Brooks?
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0.
Next on the agenda is public hearings, ordinance 2025-14, amendments to Chapter 14. City Attorney?
Thank you, Mayor. This is ordinance 2025-14. I'm going to read it by title only. An ordinance of the City of Madeira Beach, Florida, amending Article 4, moving of structures of Chapter 14, buildings and building regulations of the Code of Ordinances to revise the title of said article to elevation and relocation of structures, to establish requirements for elevation permits, require document submittals, provide for setbacks, and address conditions of permit issuance for the elevation of existing structures where the structure remains within the original horizontal footprint, providing for conflict, providing for severability, providing for codification, and providing for an effective date. That was the second and final reading of ordinance 2025-14 by title only.
Do we have any public comment?
Nikki Resnick, 14024 Vivian Drive. I just want to say to the mayor, the commission, Marcy, your staff, everybody, I cannot thank you enough for the speed of which you put this together and making this possible for homeowners that are elevating. It means a lot. So thank you very much.
Do we have any additional public comment? Commissioners, any comments? Questions?
This is our second reading. It's been gone over. I echo the comments given. Great job.
Seems like a win-win for our staff and for residents, make things a little more streamlined and make more sense.
Absolutely, thank you. So do we have a motion?
Go ahead.
I would like to adopt ordinance 2025-14, amendments to Chapter 14, Article 4, elevation and relocation of structures, second reading and public hearing.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
City Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Gavayi?
Yes.
Commissioner McGeehan?
Yes.
Commissioner Taglerini?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kerr?
Yes.
Mayor Brooks?
Yes.
The motion carried 5-0.
Next on the agenda is ABP 2025-04, Corner Kitchen and Coffee House, and I will give this to the city attorney.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a quasi-judicial proceeding. It's governed by the code. I need to go through a couple of things of the code before we start receiving testimony. First of all, a summary of the application. Pursuant to Land Development Code, Article 6, Division 6, alcoholic beverages, the applicant for APB 2025-04 is requesting authorization from the Board of Commissioners for a 2 COP alcoholic beverage license for the sale of beer and wine by the drink or in sealed containers for consumption on premises at Corner Kitchen and Coffee House located at 13999 Gulf Boulevard, number C2, here in Madeira Beach. The standards to be applied during this hearing are set forth in Section 110-532. I need to read those to you. When considering the alcoholic beverage application, the Board of Commissioners shall consider the following factors. Number one, the extent to which the location and the extent to which the proposed alcoholic beverage request will adversely affect the character of the existing neighborhood. Number two, the extent to which traffic generated as a result of the location of the proposed alcoholic beverage request will create congestion or present a safety hazard. Number three, whether or not the proposed use is compatible with the particular location for which it is proposed. Number 4, whether or not the proposed use will adversely affect the public safety. And number 5, no application for review under this section shall be considered until the applicant has paid in full any outstanding charges, fees, interest, fines, or penalties owed by the applicant to the city under any section of the code. Pursuant to the code, the burden of proof is as follows. The applicant shall have the burden of proof at the hearing to show by the greater weight of the evidence that the application is consistent with the city's comprehensive plan and complies with all procedural requirements of the law. Conditions may be suggested by the applicant, the city, or any party, or may be imposed by the board, which are intended to assure consistency and compliance. The parties in this case are going to be obviously the city of Madeira Beach and then the applicant, Jonathan Olnick, and he is with rpdeli.com Inc. The order of presentation, because there have been no parties who have issued a notice of intent to become an affected party, will be that the city will make its presentation first, and then the applicant will present. I'm going to go ahead and read the quasi-judicial procedures that we're going to use in today's hearing. This is a quasi-judicial proceeding where the Board of Commissioners acts in a quasi-judicial rather than a legislative capacity. At this hearing, it is not the board's function to make law, but rather to apply law that has already been established. In this hearing, the board is required by law to make findings of fact based upon the evidence presented at the hearing and apply those findings of fact to previously established criteria contained in the Code of Ordinances in order to make a legal decision regarding the application before it. The board may only consider evidence at this hearing that the law considers competent, substantial, and relevant to the issues. If the competent, substantial, and relevant evidence at this hearing demonstrates the applicant has met the criteria established in the Code of Ordinances, then the board is required by law to find in favor of the applicant. By the same token, if the competent, substantial, and relevant evidence at the hearing demonstrates the applicant has failed to meet this criteria established in the Code of Ordinances, then the board is required by law to find against the applicant. At this time, I need to ask each one of the commissioners whether or not there have been any ex parte communications between the commission and the applicant. No, I'm seeing all no's.
None.
Did you?
Well, I don't know if this would be ex parte, so I want to say it. I frequent the Corner Kitchen often, and I know the owner, and I knew that they were going to be on the agenda tonight and that he was on vacation and would not be able to attend.
Did you have discussion with the?
We did not.
Okay, all right. All right, so are there any conflicts of interest any of the commissioners have? I'm not seeing any there either. So at this time, I need to swear in all witnesses. Anyone that's going to speak on this application today, if you could stand up, raise your right hand, and be sworn under oath. Anyone that's in the audience that's going to speak on this? Is the applicant here? The applicant's not here. You swear the testimony you're about to give is going to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Okay, thank you. All right, so at this point, Mayor, we would go ahead and have the city proceed with the application and make its staff report and recommendation.
When considering...
Could you introduce yourself, Andrew?
Okay. Good evening, my name is Andrew Morris. I'm the long-range planner for the Community Development Department of the City of Madeira Beach.
And your job responsibilities here at the city?
But I also write ordinances and do comprehensive plan amendments and variances and...
Okay, so you're familiar with this application then today?
Yes, sir.
All right. Why don't you go ahead and give your staff report then?
Okay. When considering the alcoholic beverage license application, the Board of Commissioners shall consider the following factors. The first one is the extent to which the location and extent to which the proposed alcoholic beverage request will adversely affect the character of the existing neighborhood. The Corner Kitchen and Coffee House is located at the skyline of Madeira Resort, which is a mixed-use building with ground floor commercial uses with second floor and above condo hotel units. A similar 2COP license was granted in 2015 for a previous tenant, Sweet Brunette, at the same location. Additionally, the surrounding area along Gulf Boulevard includes other businesses with alcoholic beverage licenses. Staff finds the proposed use will not adversely affect the character of the neighborhood. The next one is the extent to which traffic generated as a result of the location of the proposed alcoholic beverage request will create congestion or present a safety hazard. As the proposed use mirrors the prior 2 COP license approved in 2015, no significant increase in traffic or congestion is anticipated. The skyline of Madeira Resort was built prior to 2019 amendment to Division 2 off-street parking spaces, which increased the parking requirements for restaurants and lodging. This amendment increased the amount of parking required for temporary lodging and restaurants that previously were not required when the skyline of Madeira Resort was built or when Sweet Brunette's alcoholic beverage permit was approved. While this use is considered a continuation of the previous intensity, staff recommends including a condition that any future expansion in size, seating, or alcohol service will trigger compliance with the current shared parking standards. The next one is whether or not the proposed use is compatible with the particular location for which it is proposed. Proposed alcoholic beverage use would complement the food and non-alcoholic beverages sold at this establishment. Alcohol sales would be incidental and secondary to food service. The next one is whether or not the proposed use will adversely affect public safety. No negative impact to public safety is anticipated. The level of alcohol service will be similar to the previously approved use. The next one is no application for review under this section shall be considered until the applicant has paid in full any outstanding charges, fees, interest, fines, or penalties owed by the applicant to the city under any section of the code. The applicant has no outstanding fines or penalties owed to the city under any section of the code. Recommendation, city staff recommends the approval of ABP 2025-04 with the following condition. Any proposed expansion of floor area, seating, or increase in alcohol beverage service intensity shall require a parking agreement in accordance with section 110-956 shared parking facilities. Attached is their local application, their existing site plan, and the public notice and mailing and posting and affidavits. Thank you.
You're asking that the City Commission take this agenda package into evidence?
Yes, sir.
And with regard to affected parties, did the city receive any notices of intent to become an affected party?
We did not.
All right. So Mayor and Commission, now is your opportunity to ask any questions of staff, if you have any questions of staff. No questions?
I have one question.
Sir.
Is there a minimum setback requirements from a church or a school for any alcoholic beverage use?
Usually the 300 feet, which there wasn't any near here within 300 feet.
Any other questions? Okay, again, I'm going to ask, is the applicant in the audience? The applicant not being here, is anyone in the public like to step forward and discuss the application? Yes? And if you'd like to step forward, I need to swear you in. You can come all the way up front. Are you here for the applicant, did you say?
Yes.
Okay. All right, if you could raise your right hand. Swear the testimony you're about to give is going to be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes.
What's your name, please?
Heather Turflinger.
Okay. And what's your relationship to the property owner?
I'm an employee of
Okay.
his.
Of the business?
At the business, yes.
All right. And what would you like to tell the commission?
We opened in March. He's asking to serve wine and beer, just like the previous business did. And we are very focused on community, and we're very excited to be there. I started with him on March 17th and really enjoying getting to know the community. And we think this will bring people together and just continue the vibe that was already there from the previous business.
Thank you. Any questions?
I have just one. There's a one condition about any proposed expansion of floor area, seating, or increase in alcoholic beverage service intensity. Are you aware of any increases, planned
No, sir.
increases of any kind?
No, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. If there's no other questions, thank you.
Thank you.
Does anybody else in the public want to speak on this application? There being no other people, Mayor, it's back to the commission for a motion to be made, seconded, and then discussion on the motion.
I make a motion to approve the alcoholic beverage permit 2025-04.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Vote or discussion? Any additional discussion?
I'd just like to mention that, and anyone that remembers the Duane plan, that there was an activity center on one end and on both ends of the city. But right there at 140th is also, I'll call it a minor activity center, and that's exactly where this is. The previous owner had an alcoholic beverage. It was never an issue. I think it's a great thing.
I do too. I agree. Any comments?
Congratulations.
Well, we haven't voted yet.
Well, no, I meant congratulations on opening, you know. But I
Well, be
did
sure
make the
you go
motion.
there and have something to eat and drink then.
Call the roll.
City Clerk, would you call the roll?
Commissioner McGeehan,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kerr, Commissioner Gavayi.
Yes.
Commissioner Taglerini,
Yes?
Mayor Brooks.
Yes.
The motion carried 5-0.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is unfinished business. A is the Scott Holcomb request for special magistrate fine reduction at 572 Johns Pass Avenue.
So Mayor, can I help start this out?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. So Mr. Holcomb and his wife were cited for a couple of violations on their property in May of 2023. The matter came before the special magistrate for consideration on October 2023, some 5 months later. The special magistrate did find a violation of the cited code sections which were failure to have a building permit for building an accessory structure on his pool deck, an outdoor kitchen. In addition, there was a violation for not having a pool fence. The special magistrate ordered that the property be brought into compliance by November 22nd, 2023. If it was not in compliance by that date, that there would be a $250 a day fine that would accrue. The property did come into compliance almost an entire year later. It came into compliance on November 13th, 2024. The fines that have accrued on the property total $92,044.07. After I provided that payoff to Mr. Holcomb, he requested a fine reduction. I did have some correspondence with him. Some of that is in the packet. I did tell him that city staff could not support anything less than a fine reduction to $46,022.04. That's basically 50% of the outstanding lien. As you know, this item was discussed at the workshop meeting, and now it's here for official action to be taken. I do know that Mr. Holcomb requested the opportunity to speak, and I believe he's here in the audience, and so he would like to speak before any motion is made. So, Mr. Holcomb?
Good evening, John Holcomb, 572 Johns Pass Avenue. Before I get into the lien stuff, there were some things that were said at the last meeting that I feel I should have an obligation to talk to or an opportunity to talk to, and I hope that it did not have any bearing on your vote or your opinions at the workshop last time. But another resident got up here and claimed that I was not properly homesteaded for my property. There's nothing further from the truth by all definitions of being able to homestead my property here. I check off all of the boxes. A couple of you echoed that when you made your comments. So I would be happy if you wanted to go to the Pinellas County Property Appraiser and talk to them. I've talked to them when I first homesteaded the property a year ago. I talked to them after the meeting the other day, and both times I talked to them, they said, you are absolutely homesteaded at that property. So that's the first thing. Second thing is, there was another comment made by the same individual that said that my next door neighbor had a problem with me and a fencing issue. That is absolutely not the case. The problem she has is not with me, it's with the property. Before I bought the property in 2020, there was an issue with water running off from the property into her yard. That's what she was claiming. Had absolutely nothing to do with the fence. The house is currently nearly knocked down. As I mentioned during a workshop meeting, I received a significant damage letter. I'm going to have to come way out of pocket to rebuild the house to code. And And that issue with the homeowner at 574 is going to be resolved, obviously, because of the permitting and everything else. The yard issue that was brought up last time, the deputy neglected to say that the house, he mentioned the house looked like it was abandoned. The house had a demolition fence around the property 3 weeks prior to the visit by the deputy, which was the day before I got up here and spoke. There was a permit that was approved by the city for demolition. The current status of the house is that the majority of the house itself is knocked down. They probably have another couple days to work on it. During that process, I had them clear all of the grass on the site. The contractor did say to me, I would not clear the grass on the left side of your property near the front yard or the right side. Keep it as a barrier for your neighbors. And that's what I agreed to do. I have engaged a landscaper, and he will continue to maintain that grass and the trees on the property during construction and then after the house is rebuilt. I know I had originally come in here and asked that the fine be waived due to the circumstances that I brought up during the workshop meeting and throughout this whole process. One of which, again, is at the very beginning, the contractor that I hired, who is not familiar with Madeira Beach, does most of his work in Hillsborough County, went to the city department, the permitting department, showed them the schematics, and said, what do I need to permit? And 3 people there told him that if it was not a attached structure to the ground, it would not need to be permitted, and it is not an attached structure to the ground. There was already power there, sewage, electricity. I now know, going through all of this, that it absolutely should have been permitted. The one thing I will say is, if I was going to build something and I was going to try to do something that was not above board, I certainly wouldn't build something out on my back patio for everyone to see. I certainly wouldn't build something next door to a person who chronically complains about my property. It had the former mayor, the city manager, and about 5 other people in my backyard discussing a paver issue. And that's where the kitchen was, they brought up the kitchen the next day and said it was out of compliance, which again was news to me. I originally asked for this to be waived. I know that that's not going to happen. The last offer was 50%, which is still an exorbitant $46,000. I would ask that you do something more than just 50%. I'll disagree with it, but at this point, I just want to get this over and done with. It's affecting my health. It's affecting stress for me and my wife. And couple that with the fact that now we have to build an entire new house. It has always been our goal to continue living in Madeira Beach and to live out our lives here, and I would like to continue to do that. And I would like to continue to do that without any animosity between me and the city. That's all I have. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you. So the options for the commission are to deny the request, grant the request, or grant the request for a fine reduction to a certain dollar amount. So, for example, I move that the fine be reduced to whatever the number is. And then you would have a second on that, and then you would discuss it, and then you would vote, and then we can move on to the next agenda item. Okay, any questions?
So we shouldn't ask any questions until after someone makes a motion?
Well, you have questions of Mr. Holcomb?
No.
Of me?
I want to ask city staff a question.
Oh, no, now's the time to do that.
Marcy, Jenny, when we had this last meeting, I don't know that if we were told, I know we were told somebody at city staff said, and I've thought about that a lot, can you imagine that someone would have told him that if it wasn't an attached structure, it wouldn't need a permit? And I'll tell you why I'm asking, because in my head, I'm thinking, if you can roll it in and out of your garage, you don't need a permit for it. So is there the chance, I'm not asking you to say definitely somebody didn't or did, but is there the chance that his contractor could have been told if it's not attached, it doesn't require a permit.
I would speculate if the question wasn't specific and was brought to somebody very general and in passing, it could have, yes, very much been stated as such.
Okay. Because I know that the other comment that he had made here was that in conversation with the city manager, that the city manager had said he would recommend that I believe it was waive the fine, which I asked Robin if he said that. He said no. However, and I've said this before, I know that when you talk to people, when I talk to people, sometimes we have the conversation again and they didn't hear what I said. They heard what they wanted to hear. And no disrespect to anyone, that's just the way it is. Sometimes I have a conversation and walk away and I heard what I wanted to hear, not necessarily what the person said, which is why I think it's a good practice to speak back your conversation to make sure that everyone understands what you said. So I think those two things. We also received an email from a resident, and it was a mindful email, I thought, because you and I had a conversation here one time on the dais about permitting and fees. And when the statements that we made, I didn't really feel, I thought it was a great statement to get the community to pull their permits. And then I had a conversation with a homeowner later who didn't like that because they had followed all the rules and they had done everything the way we asked them to do. And then they waited months and months and months and were still waiting to get it back into their place. And we were rewarding, in their view, all of the bad people who, and I say bad people loosely, I don't mean that people are bad, but that we rewarded the people who just went ahead and did the work without a permit by not fining them and punishing them, which we remedied that. But so now when I listen, and especially when we have a workshop and I walk away and I reflect on the conversations, I'm pretty mindful of that. And this email that we all received it today, was talking about the property and the issues and long-term and how Madeira Beach has, to quote, long been known for selective code enforcement. And I think that people could say that in the past, but it's a new day. And I had 3 phone calls today because somebody got their site shut down because no silt fence, which I'd also like to bring to your attention, Commission, that we do have pictures of the property currently, and it doesn't have a silt fence. It doesn't have any of the things that are required of a contractor for construction. And the grass that is left, I can understand why you'd leave it, but it's not cut, and it's very tall. And I also know that we get a lot of complaints. I told Robin today it's the biggest complaint I get from residents is tall grass and trash cans left out when they're not supposed to be, but tall grass is the biggest. So those are just my comments.
Are we supposed to have public comment before we do?
Public comment?
If you want to receive public comment.
Do we have any public comment? Commission?
There really should be a motion on the floor, and you discuss the motion. And so I would recommend there would be a motion.
How do you do a motion to recommend anything until you talk through it?
When you go to the discussion, if someone is making a motion saying, I don't think that we should, reduce the fine at all, and your response is, well, I think it should be 50%, then the motion could be amended to change it to 50%. But you discuss the motion. It's not the issue discussed. You discuss the motion. So
once a motion's been made, a different motion can't be made. Is that correct?
Yeah, you can amend it. The first one can be withdrawn. It could be tabled, but yeah. So you're discussing the motion. That's my recommendation.
I would like to make a motion to reduce the fines, and I don't want to allude to how much yet. I think that would be subject for discussion. So I would like to say, let's reduce the fines. Not very specific.
It's not really a complete motion, So pick a number, and then you can talk it up or down.
$10,000.
So your motion is reduce the fine from $92,000 down to $10,000?
Yes.
Okay. Just need a second then. there's
So
no
you're not
second?
you're not seconding it, agreeing with the motion. You're seconding it so that we can start talking about
Correct.
the motion and come up with what we can agree on.
Yes.
I'll second.
City Clerk, will you call the roll?
No, you need to
Oh.
discuss the motion
Oh,
now.
yes, sorry.
So we'd start with Commissioner Gavahi, since he made the motion, followed by Commissioner McGee, who seconded it, and then the rest of the commission.
So how much funds has the city spent on this project? What has been our cost so far? That's the staff?
I have no idea.
I mean, it's essentially staff time. We would have to go back and determine the amount of time spent on it and then determine the hourly cost times the number of hours.
And the special magistrate's time as well?
Correct.
So if you were to give a ballpark figure, what would be your determination?
I'd have to check to see how much time has been spent, but anywhere from probably 20 to 30 hours. I think for everything on it, times probably, it's been a couple $1,000s would be my guess. but
Okay.
just estimating.
It wouldn't be beyond $10,000?
Most likely, no.
Okay. Thank you.
Commissioner, you have comments?
Well, the lien, agreeing with Commissioner Goheavy, right? The amount around $10,000, I was thinking more along the line of 25, but Scott Holcomb also lost his home in the hurricane also, but he wants to be a citizen here in Madeira Beach. I don't want to, overly punish also, so. I chose that number because 46 is close to 50 and then half of that, so that's what I came up with. But if the city manager said it was around 10,000 that we've invested in the property itself?
We'd have to go back and there's
So 15
just guessing.
maybe? You think, can you give me a ballpark at all or not?
Really no way to determine.
I have a issue with the whole thing, only because it was brought to the special magistrate in 2023, and Mr. Holcomb had an opportunity to, if it was on wheels, if it was not a permanent structure, as has been discussed, he could have easily removed that, put it in his garage, whatever. He chose not to do that. He was told of the fine at the time that he was brought before the special magistrate, and ignored it, chose to ignore it. The city has to have, if we reduce the fine or if we eliminate the fine, then what are we saying about what the special magistrate or what the city can or cannot do? I understand it's a lot of money, but it's not a lot of money because the city decided we're going to fine this person a lot of money because he put this kitchen out in his backyard. It's accumulated because Mr. Holcomb decided to ignore it. He came into compliance in November, which is 2 months after the Hurricane Helene, after it had flooded, and was, I'm sure, unusable anyway. So I don't understand why we would reduce the fine to a significant, we're talking about 90% reduction, why we would even consider that. Because the next Mr. Holcomb that wants to build something out of permit and goes in front of the city magistrate, the special magistrate, where all this could, I'm sure, was discussed, whether it was at the hearing with the special magistrate that I was told that I didn't need a permit. My contractor was told I didn't need a permit. Okay, that discussion was made and decided, and, well, you did need a permit and you must remove it. But a year later, it's still there, accumulating a $250 fine or whatever it was. And now everybody's home was substantially damaged or close to it. It's a lot of money. I understand that, but it's not the city's. It's not the city throwing that fine out. It was I've had other neighbors that have had the same thing happen, and they took it upon themselves to make sure that they destroyed their permanent structure that was beautiful. It just didn't comply with the current, or it was not built with a permit. But they decided to comply with what the city requested, demanded. So it has nothing to do with how nice it is or whether it met the permits. It has everything to do with whether you're going to comply by the city's requirements. We all have to live by the rules that we agree to live by.
It's a super difficult issue for me. My inclination is to be compassionate, but since I've been a commissioner for the last 3 years, I've heard many stories of residents who've had to deal with the consequences of not following code. And initially, when I saw this, I thought, well, why is it being reduced? It seems pretty straightforward. And I think that if we diminish the amount too much, then why do we have the ordinances? Why do we have the codes? It takes away the teeth of our enforcement. I'd be willing to go with the city's recommendation of 50%. I wouldn't feel comfortable. Even that, I know people are going to say, well, why did he get a break? And I don't know what to say to that, except the city recommended it, so I'm going to follow staff recommendations.
So I agree with Vice Mayor Kerr. The problem in reducing the lien is that, number one, the special magistrate is pretty lenient. I mean, it takes a long time just to start getting fines. If you show up for tall grass, he gives you 90 days to cut your grass before you start getting fined. So I mean, it's pretty easy to work with. I agree that if we reduce fines, then you're setting the precedents, and we have a lot of issues in the community right now with the special magistrate. So does anyone have a recommendation?
I move that we amend.
We already have a motion on the floor.
So, okay.
So if you're going to suggest that the motion be amended, that would be appropriate, Commissioner. But, okay. All right, I apologize. I thought I'm going to make a motion so your request is will the maker of the motion be willing to amend his motion to whatever?
Will the maker of the motion be willing to amend his motion to 50% of the total amount, which is $46,020.04?
No.
Okay, so you can vote it up or down then, call the roll, and then you can address the next motion.
City Clerk, would you call the roll?
Commissioner Gavayi,
Yes.
Commissioner McGeehan,
No.
and Gavayi, yours was no, correct?
Mine was no. In other words, keep it at 10,000.
Okay, yes. Okay.
So
Vice Mayor-
let's make sure we got the motion right.
Yes.
So the motion is to reduce the fine to $10,000.
The answer is yes.
Okay.
The motion is yes.
Vice Mayor Kerr,
No.
Commissioner Taglerini,
No.
Mayor Brooks.
No.
The motion failed 3-2.
4-1.
Oh, we had 2 yeses.
One yes.
You only had Commissioner Gavahi voting yes. Everybody else voted no.
Okay, 4-1.
So we need another motion.
I move that we support a settlement of the lien for the amount of $46,022.04.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
City Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Taglerini,
Yes.
Commissioner McGeehan,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kerr,
No.
Commissioner Gavayi,
No.
Mayor Brooks.
Yes.
The motion carried 3-2. We had Commissioner Gavayi at no and Kerr at no.
That's correct. The motion passes. So the fine has been reduced to $46,022.04. Okay? All right.
Next on the agenda is Hurricane Damage Update Community Development Ground Floor Assessment.
Good evening, Marcy Forbes, Community Development Engineer. We've prepared a memo with regards to the downstairs community development floor. As you know, it was damaged during the flood. It received floodwaters up to a little over 7 inches in the interior. So once we were able to kind of get back in the space, we wanted to have basically a vulnerability assessment performed on that space before we just moved back into it. And with that, we contracted with Pannoni Services to look at that. And we have Vince Barnes here from Pannoni to help answer any questions you guys may have. The main thing we wanted to understand was what damage, if any, did occur during the flooding, and what was constructed and what vulnerabilities, if any, were there, and how it was constructed, and did we have any issues with that. With that, they did some testing, and it was determined that downstairs was not properly, or does not qualify as being truly dry flood proofed. It lacks some design issues in the slab as well as the walls. So with that, in order to utilize the space down there as it was before, it would have to truly meet the definition of dry flood proofing, which would require demolition of portions of the existing slab, replacing it with a thicker slab, adding in steel, throwing in some deep foundations, and then doubling up the wall thickness with one more layer of CMU block. There's obviously more to that, and I'll let Vince speak to that. But with their analysis, we also had them run a construction estimate and to demolish the floor and return it to a truly dry flood-proof condition. They estimate the construction cost to be roughly $2.4 million. And that does not include any interior build-out, electrical, HVAC. That is just to return the shell, or to turn the shell into a truly dry flood-proof condition. With that, I'm sure there's a lot of questions. So, Vince, if there's anything you'd like to add to that, then we can kind of let them ask some questions.
Yeah, let me introduce myself. My name is Vince Barnes. I'm with Pannoni Associates. We're a multidisciplinary civil engineering firm. I'm a structural engineer, a professional engineer licensed in the state of Florida. I'm also a licensed special inspector in the state of Florida. We were engaged by the city after the event occurred from the floodwaters of Hurricane Helene. We did an assessment both looking at the interior and the exterior of the building. I've provided a draft report, staff draft, because we have not finalized it. We've had continued discussions on potential uses of the space, which I'm prepared to talk about. But as our report details, we reviewed original drawings for the addition that were prepared by a architect, and found that the slab would be insufficient on resisting the uplift buoyancy forces associated with a designed flood event. One way to think about that is a structure acts like a pool. If you have an empty pool and you have high groundwater, it will pop out of the ground. Similarly effective pushing a bucket in the water, it's going to want to push back at you. That buoyancy force has to be considered in the design of a structure. The floodwaters, I believe, were somewhere in the nature of 1 to 2 feet along the exterior. Yeah.
Yes.
So 1 to 2 feet on the exterior. Interior flooding was found to be about 7 inches, as you mentioned. The flooding occurred likely through breaches in the flood panels and possible cracks in the slab. The slab was found based on our scanning of the structure to be largely unreinforced and consistent with some of the commentary that we found based on our record research in this process. We provided a detailed report of our findings. We did not include our calculations, but we did provide the findings as calculations for consideration, including findings that the exterior walls would have failed under a design flood event of 2017, which is different from today, of as much as 400%. Our analysis looked at consideration of both what would have been for a flood-resistant design at the time that this was permitted. We also did additional research to what is required now. Current requirements now have a different freeboard requirement, and in both situations, we found to be the existing construction insufficient to resist a design flood event, which would be near the second floor. This flood event was, again, 1 to 2 feet, and failure occurred to some extent. We provided the cost estimate for approximately $2.5 million. I do want to amend one thing, was that was for some mechanical systems. Let me see if we have it for and finishes as well. So that would be a full interior restoration. I'm prepared to answer your questions on our report, and including additional preparation I have regarding potential alternative uses for this space. The space is approximately 5,000 square feet.
So would you mind giving us those? Because when you're finished, I'm going to ask for public comment prior to the commission.
Okay. We've considered 4 potential options if you wanted to dry flood-proof it in compliance with the code. Based on our discussions with the building official, we would be able to restore it per the original code. We wouldn't have to meet current code requirements, which raise the freeboard to 4 feet above base flood elevation. So we have those. But what I was mentioning as an alternative, we were considering the potential for, do you want to share it or? Well, it can be shared. So we were considering the potential for opening the space and taking it from a what would be required as an occupied space for as an office space to more of a an open space, a free use space per se, picnic tables open, and with potential of a small area which would be dry flood proof, for instance, a bathroom at ground level. So we could take a small area and do the thickened slab, do the walls, do the reinforcing needed, and have that area actually meeting code requirements. But to do that, we would remove large sections of the interior walls, demo the interior, things of that nature. And we, based on our estimation, we're at about $488,000 to demo the space and open the walls and give it a change of use. That's based on conversations with the building official that would be a potential acceptable alternative to as dry floodproofing and restoring it to the original use.
Okay. Do we have any public comment? Please.
Chuck Dillon, 529 Lillian. This is all flood zone. And if anybody was building here, they'd have to build breakaway walls. So I don't know why we couldn't do the breakaway walls. If you're living right over there, they do breakaway walls. And so talk about a waste of money. And it was, breakaway walls. I mean, that's what everything is on the beach and everything. So you could have the structure back with the breakaway walls. And as to how anybody else does anything, to try to flood proof something that just got flooded is kind of an oxymoron. I'm sorry. That's stupid to me. How would anything try to be flood proofed? So complete waste of money, and to turn it into a picnic table area? Well, I mean, you could, but we've also got the sheriff's thing downstairs that we spent how much money. You're going to be looking at that as well, that we just spent how much money to repair. I think was it right underneath here. So it's just, ludicrous to me. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional public comment? We have one more.
John Hendricks, 569 Normandy Road. Food for thought, when that was built out, it was $960,000, and it wasn't many years ago. It can be flood proofed, but you need to be competent in what you're doing, and apparently a lot of incompetence took place downstairs as far as, I guess, the way it was built and the way it was secured for the hurricane. So I don't know exactly what happened, but it shouldn't have happened. And I'd be curious as to who was responsible for that. Thank you.
Do we have any additional public comment? With no more public comment, commission, questions, comments?
Where would the offices, where would those offices go if we made it into an open space? Where would, that's you, I think.
That's the question, is we would definitely have to figure out a new space. Because you couldn't add breakaway walls to an occupiable space. If you were using it for a garage, storage, or parking, then you could do breakaway walls, but you don't have those in a usable space.
Okay.
The only way we would be able to occupy that space as it was before would be to fully dry flood-proof it. Vince, did you want to ask?
Yeah, that is correct. So AC 24 outlines the requirements for dry and wet floodproofing. So breakaway walls are not considered a dry floodproofing. They are allowable in storage, parking space, and that's I'll say a wet floodproof condition, which is not applicable for a occupied.
Well, that answers my second question. Thank you. And so the recommendation is to just hold off and consider alternative uses, and I certainly would be in favor of that.
Commissioner, Vice Mayor?
Yeah, I would definitely consider alternate uses. The gym currently is not being used by fire staff any longer. There's a space that is not being utilized. For the last year, that space has not been usable, and we've been getting by. Now, if we could maybe do some modifications to the existing layout to make that more permanent, using the gym area as well. I think there's other options. I don't think we need to be spending $2.5 million to try to make that permanently flood-proof.
If I could just, since Commissioner Curtis said that, I'm a huge supporter of the gym, but under these circumstances, I think that makes sense to use that, at least to alleviate where do we put our community development.
And staff is, as you know, struggling to find spaces. We're also looking to hire multiple people on, so that'll get even tighter within the next few months. I know previously there was discussion of maybe expanding over, not in the dog park area, but on that side, or expansion on the second floor over here. So that may be an option that you might want to consider as well.
Commissioners, comments?
I'm going to go with the city staff recommendations and also with the Commissioner Tagliarini and Vice Mayor Kerr. So I'm willing to explore other options before we invest $2.5 million in restoration.
Commissioner?
Floodproofing is never really that good. I mean, you can try with gaskets, and sometimes you have the gaskets placed on the shelf and then they disappear, and then when it's flood hits, you can't really put the gaskets against the doors and make the doors totally flood-proof. So I'm also not in favor of rebuilding downstairs. But what I would recommend, and I discussed this with Marcy, as an option, we could extend this wing over the retention pond and create more space in line with this floor further that way. So just not sure as far as the cost and where we get the money, but other options would be also my recommendation.
So I think it's unfortunate. It's extremely unfortunate. And to the question that was raised from a resident about who was responsible for this, those people no longer work for the city. And the super unfortunate thing is the secondary build out that we have down there is no good either. The police station or the sheriff's room, that floods, it's no good. It wasn't built properly. And unfortunately, there was no oversight from anybody looking after the person who was in charge of that project. It just happened, whatever wanted to happen happened with no oversight. So I know way more about frangible floors than I ever thought I would even know what that meant. But there's nothing that can be done with that space without us spending. And the quotes, $2.5 million, it would be $3 million by the time we were done, because it's not, nothing ever comes in, not a project like that in budget. And so I know that we talked about different ideas, and I would 100% not support doing anything down there, spending $1 to put any offices back downstairs. And I mean, we have a lot of things to think about. Where are we going to put our sheriff's department? Where are we going to put all of you? And I would be more interested in sooner than later looking at options for what we can do for that department. I mean, planning and the community development department includes our permitting department. It's the largest department inside a city hall. And so it's a lot of people. They've been working on top of each other for almost 11 months. And I liked some of the options that we brainstormed on, but for long term, I love these other ideas. So maybe if we could get some ideas and dollars to it to see, because building anything isn't going to, it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take time. So thank you for bringing terrible news, but it's not your fault. So.
Can I add just two quick things? Yes. So dry flood proofing is an effective technique. We've did it a number of times on properties that during the storm that up in the Clearwater area that did not have an issue. But you are correct. You have to have the supplies, you have to have training, you have to maintenance. I just wanted to mention Tampa General. That's what they did. They didn't flood. That's a different dry flood proofing method, but there are. It is a code allowed, and it is a successful method. All that be very expensive. The cost estimate we put together, if you just put kind of in your mind, it's about $500 a square foot. That number, I would say, based on my experience here locally, may be consistent with new construction of an elevated building. So there may be some consideration to be made. We would offer, if desired, to provide any additional studies, schematic design. We do a number of these projects all over the world. So happy to help.
Thank you. Anything additional?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is the hurricane damage assessment, the FEMA damage spreadsheet. City Attorney, or I'm sorry, City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. We have up on the screen, you did receive a better copy than what was in the packet of our damage spreadsheet, which we have shared multiple times over, particularly when discussing during the budget workshops and going over the damages, the insurance proceeds, and what we've submitted to FEMA. So we're going to go through the spreadsheet. Please, if you have any questions, and I'll have applicable departments come up and for any questions. But starting, and again, the spreadsheet is up on the screens, and you do have a printed copy, but it starts with building and community development on the first three lines. First floor, City Hall, then ServPro has removed, and then the third line on the second column, building and community development contents. So description of the damage followed by the estimated cost to repair, and then the status of repair or replacement. So you just heard for building and community development, for the community development for downstairs, we did have ServPro come in and remove, and so that the cost of $135,000. We did receive $116,000 so far, $116,526 and change from our insurance for those expenses so far. In the marina, I don't know, Krabby, if you have any updates for the marina, but I'm just going in order by the buildings. But Krabby, if there's any updates for any of your, the building itself has been repaired. The soffit and fascia that was damaged. Don't believe you had some equipment, and there's a list of equipment on page 3 under marina that starts with fuel pumps all the way down to a 10-by-10 shed. And just about everything has been replaced except, Krabby, I believe the dock power, the pedestals.
So we have the pedestals in the store. They've been purchased. I was made aware that insurance is going to cover the cost of the pedestals. There was some back and forth about whether they were going to cover stuff over the water or not. So they're going to cover the pedestals and the dock boxes. Currently, we're doing the seawall project. So while that's going on, we're installing pedestals as we can. USA Voltage is coming out and installing them. So we're doing about 2 or 3 a day, here and there when they have time. So we have them all in. They're getting installed. And all that stuff's been taken care of. We're back up and running, and all the pedestals work that are there, but they're falling apart. A lot of the lights blew off, things like that, but the new pedestals that have been installed look great. They light the dock up great, and that's pretty much it. I mean, we're coming all back together, full circle a year later almost.
Yeah, fortunately, the marina didn't received minimal, I think I would
Yeah,
consider.
the building didn't
building
receive
is-
damage. The docks were still all there, surprisingly, when I got there. We didn't lose any boats. We fared very well during the storm. We just lost basically anything that was electrical that went underwater, just got toasted. Pump outs and fuel pumps and things like that. But it's all been replaced. We're up and running and ready to go. Better than ever. Any questions? Thank you.
Okay, Recreation, again, back to page 1 under buildings. After marina, there are several line items for recreation that begin with ServPro costs to remove the flooded area in the rec center, and then 6 line items underneath that to include the building contents, the shed, the concession stand, including fencing, just repairs to the rec center, office millwork. So you completed the first 4 outlines and still making repairs to the rec center, but Jay can give an update.
Yeah, so on the building side of things, we are still waiting on the office millwork. That is the last piece. I left the repairs to rec center also in progress, just in case there's anything that changes with the installation of the millwork and cabinets that are coming in. We were told like 2 weeks ago that it would be in the next 2 to 3 weeks and they'll be done. We had a contractor picked out initially. He had a heart attack and then subsequently quit doing what he was doing to enjoy the rest of his life. So we had to switch contractors, unfortunately. But so that's where we are in that. And then going to the next page, the one I have lists just the fencing. Sorry. Good.
On buildings, Jay?
No, just finish the building side.
Equipment?
Let's see. Equipment.
On page 3.
So that would be the trailer, John Deere
Yes.
Gator. Okay. Most of those, let's see, looking at everything, that's all completed. The mower, we actually went over and had removed from the school today. It had been inaccessible up until they got the portables and everything off of there. That thing it was destroyed when Helene rolled through. It was scrapped today, and then we are looking to see what insurance is going to do with that, and then we're going to evaluate the need to actually replace it in the meantime. In going over there, we also learned from the school that the entire irrigation system at the school has been essentially destroyed on that field because they put down, between the storm, the flooding, the road gravel that they put down, the portables, the whole process, and then they're now scraping the field, regrading the field, putting grass down, and the irrigation has just been thrashed through that. So when we initially installed it to make sure that the grass was good for our programming, it was I believe it was $16,000 cost. I was looking at that today. It'll probably be somewhere near there to do it again. So that'll be a discussion in this room to talk about, one, what kind of proceeds, whether insurance or FEMA or whoever is going to help assist with that payment, and then us evaluating our future need with that as we get back up. And then the electric for the lights, we didn't want to mess with that because they were running power through all of that stuff, so we haven't touched it quite yet, but I do have the electrician coming out this week to take a look. We think most everything should be fine underground, but all of the electric outside that field, I went over there today, is solid black from either burns or mold or whatever, so that's going to be another insurance proceed conversation. So we're still looking at the school field. Everything on this site, though, all the equipment here was taken away. We did have some, you see some repairs to the gators and the trailers. A lot of that was wind-driven water that got through the seals and all that stuff. So it was done in-house with our mechanic and taken care of. And then the last item I have on there, it says fencing located in Rock Park. That has been completed. I just didn't change that on there. And then the splash pad and waterfall repairs have all been completed as well. So all that stuff is back up and running. Anything else that we find is kind of switched over into routine maintenance. If it's things that we didn't happen to notice, But as we go through the park, we've got a new staff member, and it looks better than it ever has. So we're going through that.
Do we have any public comment?
How complete are the graphs? I mean, these spreadsheets as far as insurance, I don't see a column for FEMA.
Well,
It's kind of disheartening that, it looks like the insurance is
Oh,
basically.
Jay, don't go, because I want to ask you something.
Basically 10%, so.
So everything that is not covered by insurance has been submitted to FEMA to then hopefully be reimbursed by FEMA. And we'll fix the spreadsheets because, and I apologize, I didn't see how they were not even in the agenda. When they were submitted, they were even, but they got with the software likely. Either way, you have the copies in front of you, they're up on the screen. There is the last column in each sheet shows the insurance proceeds received, and then the fifth of the 6 sheets kind of summarizes all of the insurance, I believe, through today, through August the 8th. The insurance proceeds that we've received, a little over $1 million for Helene damage and $108,000 from damage attributable to Milton. The last page, and it's only 3 lines, shows FEMA reimbursements, and they're broken out into FEMA and state because some of it, that's just how it's provided by FEMA through the state, through the Florida Division of Emergency Management. But you can see we've received just a little bit over $37,000 for the FEMA reimbursements. Those do take time. It can be upwards of years. Hopefully the time has been reduced. We're confident that it hopefully has been, but we really don't know. Years ago when I was up the street, it would be 4 to 5 years before you received your FEMA reimbursements. Granted, we've had an inordinate amount of storms just in the last 2 years, obviously throughout the whole country, but specifically in Florida and in our general West Coast area. So everything has been submitted. Fortunately, as all of you are aware, I think a lot of the public, we did receive an advance to cover the costs that the city incurred for debris removal. So that helped out. In other words, we didn't have to take money from reserves to pay for those costs, which are a little over $4 million. They're not listed here because this is specific to damage to city structures, equipment, infrastructure, et cetera.
Is it reasonable to ask, somewhere we should have an idea what we expect the residents' share of the expenses, the cost to replace and repair when we're finished with insurance. And I mean, we're pretty good at getting the cost to repair together because that's really on city staff to do. And I understand we're waiting for insurance and FEMA, but we have to have a fuzzy idea, a gray idea of where we expect that, what did this storm actually cost the residents, I would think.
Sure.
So if we could put that together, it would be appreciated.
Comments?
Real quick, the repairs to the recreation center were that $57,000. What did that entail? All of that.
So the $57,000, it was 2 feet of drywall throughout the entire building, and then the floor was replaced. There was carpet in the. So when we got into the building after the storm and after helping recover and all that stuff, it was full of mold, and we had basically it was carpet, wood peel and stick floor, drywall, 2 feet, paint, and then all the trimming and stuff. So all the rooms that had finish of some kind were redone. There were a couple of rooms that were concrete painted floor that didn't have to be redone. Some of the drywall did, some of it didn't. So the further they were away from the windows, the better off they were. Our rest, like the bathrooms were fine, their tile floor, all that stuff had a floor drain, but everything else. Again, this was all wind-driven rain through the cracks and crevices in the doors and everything, so.
Okay, thank you.
Questions? So I have a question based off of that. Why did ServPro not recommend drying out the rec center?
I don't know the answer to that. Yeah.
That's fine. What I wanted to say was that today we got an email on a grant through DEP, through the DEP, for it is a specific recreation development assistance grant. So
Is it FERDAP?
I don't know. It
No,
just came today. I
Yeah, it's from the
forwarded it to
Florida
Robin.
Department of Environmental
Right.
Protection.
Okay.
We'll
Yep, so,
discuss
I
that.
mean, I'm telling you because you probably, I mean, this sounds like it might be something that would be exactly what you need for the fields.
Sure.
So, yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
So moving on, the largest, hold on, just a couple on vehicles for parking. On page 2, there are 2 vehicles that are listed. Our Kubota sustained some damage. Initially, it was determined to be totaled. Then later on, as our mechanic managed to get it back in operating, working order, and it is usable. So it was not discarded surplus that is in use. We did receive insurance proceeds. We notified the insurance company this piece of equipment is now functioning. What shall we do? They stated for us to keep the insurance proceeds. So we'll review that and as to how that should proceed. But that's listed on the spreadsheet. We've accounted for it and we'll reach out and get likely a legal opinion as to what we're supposed to do with the proceeds. The second vehicle was the Chevy Equinox that did sustain damage. It was parked in a higher area, but not in so it did receive flood damaged. I know the vehicle was not working properly, and we were looking to declare it surplus and dispose of the vehicle. We did receive, as is listed, just under $14,000 from the insurance for the vehicle. And then under equipment for parking, we listed, again, they're listed again, the vehicles that I just mentioned under equipment, but just wanted to share the parking kiosks and meters. We had begun to phase them out by January 1 of 2025. The storm just moved that time frame up. And we were simply going to return them back to the company. They did come in, so they were found and none of them were working after the storm, and the company did come and remove all of them. But again, we were going to phase all of those out. Sorry, go ahead.
Any additional comments? So Robin, I think I had asked you to talk about the grass. So since we're on talking hurricane, I mentioned earlier that the biggest complaint I receive or call I receive from residents is in regards to grass in the city that is overgrown. And we had the deputies here in our workshop and they talked about it, but I didn't understand what they were saying. It wasn't simple enough. And I asked Robin if he could present something that would be simple for us all to understand in the steps. First you do this, then you do this, then you do this, to help the residents and all of us be able to understand why it takes so long to enforce getting grass cut. Okay? So can you do that, Robin?
So as we are either notified by a resident or a business, then it's forwarded to our deputies the first step that they do is to contact the property owner. They reach out and contact and advise them, you need to mow your grass or your weeds. They do not get a hold of the property owner. They do send them a letter. They post the property and send a letter. That can take upwards of up to a week to then hear back. They follow up with a phone call, again, to try to speak with the property owner. It unfortunately then results in a second letter being sent, and that can be in upwards of 5 to 7 days later. So now we're at 1 week. That's essentially the process. If it's still compliant or it continues to recur, then it's brought here to the special magistrate, and that just further elongates the process. And the magistrate will give anywhere from days to up to a month for the compliance to occur. It's a pretty simple, straightforward process, but again, it's incumbent on getting a hold of the property owner.
So when you say if somebody reports it, wouldn't it be a good idea if the deputies drove the city once a week, like code enforcement, like our building enforcement does, on a set day every week they would drive, so that they would have a metric of knowing and not just haphazardly driving around the city, and they might see it or they might not notice it because they're not looking?
Well, they were directed several months ago to drive every day that they're here, the city, and identify and note properties. And I've received one brief report of certain properties waiting to receive the report, much detailed as to all the properties that they've reached out to, all the phone calls that they've made, and all the letters that have been sent out. So they have been doing that, and they will continue to do that, drive around and identify the properties.
I think the reason that a lot of the there's lots of reasons to have concern, but one is mosquitoes, snakes, mice, all of those sorts of things. And so, and if your house is torn down or you're not here living in it, you're not really as mindful as the person that's living next door to you.
We'll tell you where I live, there were considerable properties around 143rd and Palm Street, and now where they were not being, now they are being mowed, and most of those properties are still vacant. And I know that they reached out to them, as well as some of the streets on 144th and 145th, just because I walk those pretty regularly, where now they're being maintained significantly better than they were a few weeks ago. And then I've heard of other parts in the city, but again, it just continues to grow, and we continue to notice them every day. And if I observe them, I let them know, or any other city staff, we're letting them know.
So we also talked earlier today in passing about workshopping this to discuss the fines and the process of how we go through that.
Yes,
because
we can
there's
do that.
not really there's not really a fine process, and what we can do based off of state law because we are governed by the state. So could we workshop
Yeah,
that
we'll
so
do
that
that
we
for
could have a
the
better
next-
understanding?
Yes. And just wanted to go the last area for the damage is Public Works, which is the majority of the items on the spreadsheet, although they don't list anything, well, technically, the Snack Shack under Archibald, and engineering is in progress to get the building put back together, namely the walls, the flooring,
The deck.
and the deck.
roof. It might be easier for me to
Go ahead.
discuss what items have not been completed rather than go through the spreadsheet, because I have, as Robin stated, several items that are still ongoing, and the reason for that being is, unfortunately, they need to be re-engineered. So we have the Johns Pass Boardwalk pilings. There are 3 pilings down there that need to be replaced. I just received the engineering on that, and I'm waiting on proposals to see if that item is going to have to go out to bid or if I'll be able to get 3 proposals to replace those pilings. The 141st generator, the station has been completed, but the generator has not. We just received information from our finance department that the insurance will cover the cost of the generator replacement, so that will be coming forth to you at the workshop in a couple weeks. Tom and Kitty Stewart Park, I did finally receive the seawall designs, but the unfortunate part of that is we are in a different flood mapping, so we have to redo the site plan over there to elevate a bathroom structure there, if that is the choice of the commission to put a bathroom structure back there. We are working on the site plan now. The plan was still to move forward with the prefabrication builder that I believe I've mentioned in previous meetings. This contractor provides restrooms for all of the Pinellas County parks. They're nothing beautiful. They're basic concrete structures with restrooms. very solid. There's quite a few in the county. So we are working on a new site plan for that and trying to see how we can get that elevated to, we're looking at 7 feet is what we're hoping, but we will have to wrap around the ramp to make it ADA compliant. Snack Shack, we just discussed that. John's Pass Park and all the way to 135th parking lot, which is 6 parking lots. I spent quite a few hours with FEMA yesterday walking those parking lots, and the reason for that being is it was brand new asphalt when the hurricane hit, and every single one of them was damaged by the cleanup or the surge. So they have been reported to FEMA. We are unsure what FEMA will reimburse us for, so we're not planning to do any type of replacement or repairs until we have that. They are usable, but they're not brand new like they were. So I, unfortunately, with that meeting yesterday, the paperwork was inaccurate, so I have to meet with FEMA again next week. I also forgot to mention that I'm meeting for an inspection for FEMA for the boardwalk pilings and also the generator next Thursday, so we'll have an outcome for that. The jetty, we have finally gotten a hold of the Army Corps 408 section. We have a pre-application meeting set with them for September 16th. That will, as we had mentioned previously, we were under the impression we were not going to need that from previous conversations we had with Army Corps. But as Pinellas County got involved, they reached out to the Section 408, and we will need to have a permit for that. So we are unsure of what they will require. We want to ensure that we have all of that before we start submitting applications so that the progress and the process isn't even any longer. The Madeira Way lights, we thought that we had those completed, but the unfortunate part is any of the underground wires, and this is happening all over the place, they were repaired. But they have since burnt out. And we have located 2 sections of those lights that we are for sure, the electrician is working through that. So we're going to repair those sections, and then there'll still be 2 rows of light, or 2 lights remaining that we are unsure if there's any breaks. So we're trying to do the most feasible, minimal impact to that area that we have to for the time being. And then really the last thing is just the Gulf Boulevard medians. Replanting of those. We're working on replanting the whole entire city. Most of the places that were impacted have either been cleaned up or have been planted in some manner. So it's not really an emergency. And the landscaping is not covered by insurance or by FEMA. So we're just, as we receive plants, we're working on that.
Comments?
I don't have any questions. I think she was explained very clearly.
The bathroom, that discussion, make sure you coordinate with Robin and speak with Visit St. Pete Clearwater, because anything related to tourism, perhaps there's a grant.
Sure. Absolutely.
So that'll may influence whether we want to put that back or not, or how we want to put it back.
We have the approximate estimated cost for the bathroom. We're looking at about, just for the bathroom structure, probably about $120,000. But with it being elevated, it will have to have a deep foundation on piling. So we're going to still have to do some core samples and unfortunately more engineering costs to be able to meet all of our codes. But we will absolutely reach out.
Yeah, because I mean, that's a big tourism item.
Absolutely.
So. Thank you.
Thank you.
Comments? Thank you, Megan.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is the 2025 Seafood Festival recap.
So Mayor and Commission, a couple of years ago, I did go share with you our revenue and expenses for the Seafood Festival, and that's what's this item, just to show again what our expenses were, what the revenue in the categories, just to globally are, as listed on the top of the spreadsheet, the expenditures, the actual expenditures for the event, which again was held back in March, just under $195,000. The total revenue just under $202,000, which this was our I'm not sure if this was the most attended event, but certainly a fairly large attendance, similar to the prior year. But both the expenses and revenue increased. We did receive the grants from Visit St. Pete Clearwater, the $50,000 that are mainly for marketing the event. I don't believe we received I don't know, Jay, I forgot to ask whether we're receiving an economic impact for this one. I know we did last year, but we'll follow up with Visit St. Pete Clearwater. I didn't think of asking that when I was up there. But these are the costs related and broken out by advertising, stage and sound, food and beverage, supplies and operations. And then the expenses for the Thursday night, we broke out separately the Gather for Grouper event that was held on Thursday night. And then the revenues, which mainly come in addition to the Visit St. Pete Clearwater funding from various sponsors, the majorities are a significant amount from the vendors who pay to participate, both food and non-food. And then the beverages that are sold by the city, and we do account for the parking, where we do charge a flat rate of $25 for all of the lots from 135th, I believe, down toward the path to 130th. And so, Jay, is there anything to add?
No, this spreadsheet had been circulated a couple times. I know the mayor's seen it. A few others may have as well. In the most recent update, I did mark the orange thing, expenses. Those were a few minor ones that, as we were reconciling, that we had through just reconciliation of the expenses had recognized that those were not included. So it was about a $1,500 difference overall when we went with that, and then there were some others that went down. And then the parking fee that was initially included did not include the taxes that were paid out, so that number was updated as well. One of I'd say the advantages and opportunities with this spreadsheet is it's an opportunity for, especially the way we built it, is for my staff and I to break down and look for opportunities, obviously, for cost-cutting measures and savings. Other opportunities that we can have sponsored, like we've already had a discussion with Coke. They don't do that, but it's leading to different conversations as far as how can we make the event more successful from an expense standpoint, and then on the revenue side continue to grow that. So it's an exercise that we've done since we started doing this, and every year it gets more fine-tuned. And with us looking to host another seafood festival here in 77 days, it's another opportunity for us to take a look at that. So if you guys have any immediate questions, I can answer those. I should be able to answer them. If not, I can get information back.
Do we have any public comment? Commission comments, questions?
Just to clarify, because orange and yellow, the darker oranges are the updated.
Yes.
So there's those are the smaller amount. There's less orange than yellow.
Yeah, sorry. Everything in yellow is when I reconciled receipts with the Clarion and put it on here, yellow was telling, that I should have just cleared it up, but the yellow was telling me that I had confirmed it.
Okay.
So that was for me, and then the orange was just for clarity and to be open about it, those were ones that were not included originally. So.
And again, to be accurate and recording, and we've had discussions in the past regarding obviously using our ledger and recording and properly budgeting for the expenses and the revenue and properly showing them, and we will have that for the fiscal 26, and account for all of our events properly, correct coding for both, again, expenses and revenues, look for sponsorships, look for, obviously, streamlined costs wherever we can do that, or cost reductions. We're not, these events are for a public benefit. Although we don't exist we're not a profit center making for special events. Obviously, they do need to cover their costs, but there is an opportunity for generating the revenue that can then be returned back, as we did tonight, to the police explorers, or certainly back into John's Pass Village, where what is a significant draw for a few million visitors every year. So we will continue to be mindful of that and provide this as quickly as we can upon the conclusion of all of our events.
And to add on to that, something that if you look through like the supplies operations block that's on there, you see some of those things that are listed that don't have numbers next to them. So that gives you, this is a spreadsheet that I've used. I copy and paste every year and I kind of adjust. And then, so if you look, like, we included costs for duct tape and concrete one year. So if I bought a roll of duct tape, it was in that category. So it's, we're getting down and you know, there were some that were missed, but like we're getting down and dirty with that. You know, trash bags was included the one year that we used the trash cans. Well, we now switched out using the existing city trash cans and a better method working with Megan in the sanitation department. And we don't have that expense. So it's little adjustments like that. It may not seem like a huge change, but it makes us more efficient. It keeps the event cleaner. It makes cost savings more realistic and all that, so.
Yes.
I really like seeing this spreadsheet. Should be on every event. I love it. How are your sponsors for the upcoming event?
Well, we just put out the information. What I sent to you all earlier today and what I sent to the Johns Pass businesses was the first anybody's had eyes on it. So
that's a huge number, 63,000.
Well, we have secured 50,000 in funding from Business Safety Clearwater. So
okay.
We have that number. So
how are we trying to get additional sponsors, and how are we doing that? I mean,
so that's a conversation. I've got a list of going to work off of. I just there's some people that have sponsored in the past, but I'm also being very cognitive of we all just got hit by a storm, so I'm not going to go knocking on some doors. I may have conversations with them, but I want to make sure it's the right conversation. And we're going to look at some different. The big thing is cost cutting first, and then some sponsors that'll come through. It's a lot of repeat that we get every year, but we've got to have the conversation.
Are there any national sponsors that might like to get their names?
Sometimes that's typically that's a long range. Like we've talked to Publix about doing it, and I'm not picking on them, but they've got a specific set category and where the money goes to. Like if a city's raising money, it's one thing, but if it's a third-party nonprofit charity that's looking to raise money, they're more apt to do that kind of stuff. So we just have to find the right categories and the right people to get interested. But we're focused on our big thing is making this a local supported event that's driving as much business as we can in the past, because there's still some businesses that aren't open, and the ones that are open are still trying to recover. So that's our big thing. I want to be cognitive of. I'm not going to go, oh, hey, I saw you guys just opened 2 weeks ago. Can I get some money for this event?
Talking, it's promoting tourism, and that's
for sure.
Why, VS.
Yeah. And the county's always been good. They've adjusted. We've got, so it's 50,000. We get 35,000 that we have to contribute to marketing dollars. Mm-hmm. And then 15,000 that's a general sponsorship. Plus they also sponsor the stage that is in front of the bell tower across from Delos's is provided by the county for free with this deal. And then we do some sponsorship through that and visualization. So we're coming up with some more ideas and especially with bringing back the kids trick-or-treating, we've got people interested in that. Bringing back the costume contest, we've got some people interested. So I think it's going to reinvigorate some excitement from some people that may not have been involved the past, 7 or 8 years.
Yeah, it's a huge event. So thank you for putting that together.
Of course.
Comments? So I'm glad that you did the Aquarian reconciliation, because this would be very much what I was talking about, wanting to use Aquarian. I can't wait to see the spreadsheet, how it comes out. Like I said, I think that you want to get the credit for the work you've done. I had a conversation with a couple of the business owners down in Johns Pass and with the Chamber of Commerce about alcohol. And I think there's an opportunity to get the alcohol and the soda donated. I'll share that with Robin, and he can share that with you.
Okay.
That's all.
Yeah, anything we'll certainly look at every area, look for
I mean, that's a great
sponsorships.
expense, right? That's a big expense of the event, is
like-
is that. So to get a sponsor to donate that would be a big opportunity to make a profit.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Next on the agenda is special event agreement, Rock Park Drop Dead Beach Bash. And I'm not sure who's presenting that.
It's going to be me.
Okay, yeah.
All right, so we have received a special event application for an event out on the event fields next to the rec center utilizing the stage. This was a conversation with Rock Park, as well as there's, so it's called the Drop Dead Dangerous Beach Bash. The band is Drop Dead Dangerous, so that's where the name comes from. They've put together it's going to be a 4-day festival. They're looking to utilize our space on Friday night, Saturday night, and then the back area of the patio on Sunday afternoon. And then they're going to utilize a local bar on Thursday. So it's going to be a 4-day event. It's more of a tourism-led event. It's still open and available ticket sales-wise to residents and whoever else
Public.
But yeah, to the public. But a lot of their popularity comes from the different places that they've toured, and it's an opportunity for people to come stay here. And they do a lot of like mingling, and they're a lot closer with the artists, and that gives them more access. So we kind of looked at what they were doing. We had discussions. Obviously, we've got Little League out there. No challenges that we face with them. And then we were looking at kind of how we could set the event up and make it something. And I guess the big point that I haven't mentioned is the whole goal of this event is to raise money for Rock Park. I should have led with that. I'm not sure why I did. But so their intent, they've got a love for the mission of the organization. So they've done this on Madeira Way. It got rained out one year, and they've done it at other locations. They did it in Indian Rocks one year because we had issues here. And we've really just worked together to find a way to make it happen at our site in the park that they're looking to raise money for. So that said, we took a look at the costs, kind of similar to what we do with King of the Beach and some of the other events, and put together a contract where essentially we're looking to waive the facility rental costs for the field and the rec center, and then the hard cost, sanitation, and a few other things comes out to what they're looking. They're going to have to utilize police. FD is not going to be involved. They're not looking at a huge event. Sanitation was the big thing again, and I kind of sharpened the pencil and made that an affordable number so we can utilize the trash cans we already have, do normal sanitation dumps and all that stuff. So basically putting it together to, and it's not a huge number, looking to waive $2,440 and then invoice $1,283.50 to the event. So that would be the impact of that. And again, I actually used the framework of the contract that we used with King of the Beach and put this one together. So I figure they've always been trying to get some sort of event in there that supports the park. And this is, I figure the most appropriate way for us to help support that event and make it realistic. So.
Do we have any public comment?
Hi, Bill Kearns, 400 150th Avenue, Madeira Beach. Pretty excited about this year's event. We have Grammy Award-winning artist Kristen Bush, who's a Nashville star, up-and-comer. He's going to headline the event. I think we've got 6 different bands, all from Nashville, all top-notch, and it's going to be a very exciting event. We're really looking forward to getting public participation. I know a lot of people aren't here right now, but hoping we can get them out. But it's a pretty cool event. The Sunday event is just like all of the artists get together, and they will play out on the space closest to the fishing pier. And they just all get together and really play their hearts out for the people there. I said it should be a great event and something we're looking to do annually here to raise money for local nonprofits and for Rock Park. And I appreciate your consideration on this. Thank you very much.
Do we have any additional public comment? Commission, questions or comments?
We discussed this in our one-to-one city manager. I thought it was well organized. It seems like there's some quality entertainment. I love to provide these kind of services to our residents.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. My only question would be, okay, so it's to benefit the Rock Park. I know the city put a lot of money into that, into the pool area recently. Is it to keep those kind of costs off the city's dole, or, to kind of keep the maintenance up on Rock Park, keep improvements up on Rock Park? I'm not sure how that all works.
So obviously the two hurricanes caused a tremendous amount of damage throughout the park. Our goal is there's literally 850 memorials for families like myself that have lost kids throughout the park. Many of those signs are gone, destroyed, so we're trying to raise some money to get all the memorial plaques back up and especially the tree placards that over the years they've been run over by the landscapers. I can't tell you how many times, and replaced and replaced and replaced. We spend about $10,000 a year normally just maintaining the signs that get damaged or whatever the weather gets to them. But we're gonna make an effort now to get all of the tree signs, which there used to be signs on just about every tree that's out in the park. But thanks to Mayor Brooks, we found some screws that are made specifically for trees, and we're going to attach those signs directly to the tree so they won't no longer get run over by the lawnmowers and that. So we have a considerable amount of expense for the organization just to replace all of the memorials. Like I said, there's over 850 memorials, unfortunately, since 2015 when we opened the park.
I didn't realize your organization even existed. So it's great. No, it's great to hear. It's a learning experience for me.
The organization raised about $1.8 million to build the park. So.
Yeah, good.
Good job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Comments?
Looking forward to the event.
We also do, they're going to have vendors, food trucks, beer, wine, liquor, anything like that, that any of the local.
Should have stayed up here. Yes, all of them mentioned. We'll have some food vendors there. We'll be serving beer, wine, and alcoholic beverages.
Okay, fantastic. All right, thank you.
Commissioner, are you good? I'm looking forward to it.
Yes.
Yeah,
I'm looking
it'll be a
forward
fun
to
Hope
time.
to see you all out there. We're really excited about it.
And no rain.
No, or hurricane.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is.
Sorry.
Yes.
Need to approve the
Oh,
agreement.
I'm sorry. So do we have a motion? Thank
Not
you.
yet, yeah.
I move that we approve the proposed contract.
Do we have a second?
A second.
City Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Taglerini,
Yes?
Commissioner McGeehan,
Yes.
hold on. Commissioner Gavayi,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kerr,
Yes.
Mayor Brooks.
Yes.
The motion carried 5-0.
I got excited and got ahead of
you.
myself. Next on the agenda is agreement to purchase property at 153rd Avenue.
So Mayor and Commission, we discussed the item at the workshop. Since then, there have been no changes. The items as presented are still for your consideration to purchase the listed property at 153rd Avenue. The three parcels totaling approximately 0.7 acres for a purchase price of $4,600,000. A couple of the items, the city has obtained one appraisal. We would obtain a second appraisal. And the current occupant of the property would continue to occupy the property for 6 months after closing. And again, as I stated, there have been no changes since then. The purpose for the city would be to utilize the property eventually to construct, erect a facility to house mainly our public works administration, parks maintenance, partial, our mechanic, and part of the fleet. Happy to answer any questions.
Robin, I just want to make sure that the current purchase price is $4,600,000.
I'm sorry, 4 million, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Excuse me if I misstated that.
Do we have any public comment? Please.
John Hendricks, 569 Normandy Road. $4.6 million. That property was appraised at $2.5 million. We have property at the marina that we spent quite a bit of money to already have the engineering done. You don't need to spend $4.5 million on a $2.5 million piece of property. What you need to do, if you buy any property at all, is get it off the island on high ground so that we don't have equipment ruined again. On top of this $4.5 million, you're going to continue to rent property on 95th Avenue across from the VA hospital. This makes no sense at all. I don't know who came up with this, but it's way out of line, and this is more of this spending that is just out of control to be considering buying this property. It's a bad deal for the city. It's a great deal for the church. In fact, they've talked about how great it is for them. Y'all are really making a big mistake to buy that property. Then you've got to demo those buildings and build a new facility over there. This is going to end up being a $7 million project at least. So you're way out of line if you buy this piece of property. Go off the island, get it on high ground. Thank you.
Do we have any additional public comment? Commission?
I agree. I don't feel this is a good property for the particular use. I think this land is good to bring tourism. It should be really owned by a private company to place a hotel, a restaurant, stores there so they can bring more tourism to our town. It's right on the beach. It's, you don't park trucks and vehicles and so forth and so on in a very pristine piece of property. Of course, the cost of it is just definitely way too much. But the use of that land to be just given up to storing trucks and mechanics and so forth and so on, I think it's just not a good idea.
Commissioner?
I spoke with some people in my district, District 3, and they weren't too excited about the purchase of a $4.6 million piece of property there. It's still in the flood zone. Knock on wood, but the original appraised value of that was, like I said, 2.56 million. 4.6 million is just too much.
Commissioners?
I support it. I support buying the property. It's local to the beaches. It's local to City Hall. It's we've been wanting to find a piece of property on the island for Public Works building for years. It's been appraised for 2.5, but it's also been appraised for 5.2. So it would allow us to save our marina. To put a Public Works building over at the marina, I'm totally opposed to. There's so much more. That's a jewel that we need to develop, and not with a Public Works building, and not with equipment. I support it.
Yeah, I've gone back and forth with this. My initial reaction was, we have a piece of property, and then I found out it's not nearly big enough. We will still have to rent a space with the church property. I would love to say, have we exhausted all our options? I know nobody wants to hear that, but is there another space that we could explore in this area? It does seem like an odd place for Public Works, but I would tend not to support it, but I'm not thrilled with the marina either, to be honest. It's smaller, and I think it could be put to better use. That's where I am.
Also, real quick, I just want to also add that we're giving the church a half a year, 6 months rent-free while they look for another place. So that just doesn't make sense to me. And that's another thing why I'm not for it.
So originally I was for it. However, I feel like we received not transparent information about the property. The appraisal that was over $5 million was at highest and best use of the land that would require a PD. So that's not a real value of the property, because there's no guarantee that they could get a PD on that property and that they would be able to build at that highest and best use. And I really want to see Public Works have a building somewhere other than over at the marina. But I've had too many conversations with too many residents and business owners that were really appalled that we were willing to pay that much more than appraised value and that we didn't try to negotiate a better deal. And I personally took a real issue with that they couldn't even pay $1,000 a month rent for 6 months if we paid them above and beyond premium for the property. So I want the city to purchase something, but I just, post our last meeting and the additional information that I received and the gossip that I heard, it just makes me not able to support the purchase. I think that it would not be in the best interest of the residents for us to purchase that piece of property and build a Public Works building there, is my opinion. Additional comments?
So Mayor, let me just jump in. The contract has already been signed. There is a 60-day due diligence period. We're in that 60-day due diligence period. The 60 days will run 60 days after the last person to sign the contract. The last person to sign the contract was signed on June 20th. And so we've got a very short time frame here in the next 5 or 6 days in which we have to notify the seller that the property does not meet the needs of the city. And that has to be done by a letter. And so I think the appropriate motion at this point, based upon the consensus that I've heard, is that a motion to direct the city manager to write that letter to the property owner, the seller, that the city have found it to be not acceptable or suitable for the city's needs, and therefore we're backing out of the contract. Any monies that were placed in the escrow account would be dispersed back to the city.
No motion? You don't need a motion?
We need a motion.
We need a motion. Okay.
I move that we instruct the city manager to send a letter to the seller to break the contract, to end the contract.
Second.
City Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Taglerini?
Yes.
Commissioner Gavayi?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kerr?
Yes.
Commissioner McGeehan?
Yes.
Mayor Brooks?
Yes.
The motion carried 5-0.
Next on the agenda is new business, Resolution 2025-08, plat approvals.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to go ahead and read this resolution by title only. This is Resolution 2025-08, a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the City of Madeira Beach, Florida, providing for the designation of the Community Development Department and the Community Development Director and any successor department or division as the administrative authority with the power and duty to receive, review, process, approve, and deny the submission of applications for plats and replats in the City of Madeira Beach, providing for severability, conflicts, and effective date. Andrew, are you going to handle the staffing on that?
Yes, I am. Senate Bill 784 took effect on July 1st, 2025, and amended Section 177.071 of Florida statutes. This new law requires municipalities to designate by ordinance or resolution an administrative authority to receive, review, and process a plat or replat submission, and designate an administrative official responsible for approving conditions or denying a proposed plat or replat. As the governing body for the City of Madeira Beach, the Board of Commissioners may designate the Community Development Department as administrative authority and the Community Development Director or their authorized designee as the official responsible for the review and processing and final action, approval with conditions, or denial of plats or replats in the City of Madeira Beach. The proposed resolution 2025-08, plat approvals, formalizes this designation and brings the city into compliance with Senate Bill 784. It's not foreseen this would create a fiscal impact since additional staff would not be required. Staff recommends the approval of Resolution 2025-08 plat approvals, and attached is a resolution and then the section of Florida statutes.
Bottom line, this is absolutely legally required for the city to do. It's just who is going to be the person or persons that are going to be reviewing these. And obviously my recommendation that the Community Development Department be that designated department and individual.
Do we have any public comment? Commission comments? Questions?
Shouldn't a surveyor be reviewing the plat and make recommendations to a community department?
There are other provisions of the statute that requires the overview and review, and the answer is yes. It will require an independent person to review the plat.
Okay.
But it's the approval. Some cities, like for example, the city of Oldsmar, it requires a public hearing and it goes before the commission, and the commission considers it and approves it. Well, this particular change in the law says that's not necessary. You can designate someone to do it administratively, and you are required to do that now, effective July 1st.
Who would be signing the plat from the board? Would the mayor still be?
No, the administrative person that is reviewing it and approving it, for example, in our case right now, Jenny would be the one that would be doing it if you appoint her tonight. And if she retires at some point, then it would be whoever takes her position.
So as is listed in the item, the Community Development Director would be the one to sign.
And the Senate bill is on page 389 of the packet, too. It's pretty straightforward.
Do you have any additional questions? Questions, comments? Questions, comments?
It's mandated.
Yes, so then do we have a motion?
I move we approve Resolution 2025-08 plat approvals.
Do we have a second?
Second.
City Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Taglerini?
Yes?
Commissioner Gabayou?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kerr?
Yes.
Commissioner McGinn?
Yes.
Mayor Brooks? Yes. The motion carried 5-0.
Next on the agenda is the 2026 Florida Legislative Session.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners, As we begin preparing. We have working to finalize our budget for next year. We have a capital improvement project also for next year. We are at the point in time where to begin some discussion as to what funding we would look for, appropriations in the 2026 Florida legislative session, as well as any specific legislation that you would like to see or that we would like to have our delegation support. I put in the agenda items that between the city's lobbyist firm, Shoemaker Advisors, our state firm that works with the state, and our legislative delegation for legislative matters, as well as our legislative delegation headed by Representative Linda Cheney and our Senator Nick DeCiglia, what areas you would like for the city to focus on. Again, we've looked for appropriations mainly, but certainly legislation is important. As all of you are aware, and certainly there has been considerable media coverage and attempts by the legislature to alter specifically some revenues that cities have historically depended on, as well as other what I think would be for cities and counties to preserve our home rule and our ability to raise revenue, to regulate certain things, but also looking for continued assistance for our mitigation, resiliency, and those specific actions and projects to further protect our city, particularly from storms, flooding, et cetera. So that's the purpose of this discussion. We did receive from Representative Cheney's office a kind of the preliminary or the schedule of filing and for the legislative session. It's in the packet, and so kind of the reason behind having this item at this time. I did speak with Shoemaker earlier this week. They could not be here today. They may attend on the 27th. I will try to have them here at our workshop to provide some additional information, as well as in the September workshop. But again, that's the purpose of this item, for anything that you would like to review, discuss, and look to submit for the 2026 legislative session.
Do we have any public comment? Commissioners, do you have any comments?
So are you asking for ideas for the 2026 legislative session?
Yes, yeah, and again, we've discussed and gone over certainly a lot of our capital projects. I did ask kind of staff, the department heads, what else we could be looking to add. But again, our capital projects is kind of heavy on our road drainage projects over the next couple of years, but certainly other items that we can utilize for, again, some of the flooding mitigation. We did receive some funding for tidal control valves that we will look to use over the next year to two. But any other items or areas of interest, fortunately, our generators are still working well in this building and the fire department. We do not have one in the recreation center. Just kind of thinking out loud. Certainly areas, undergrounding assistance into the future for undergrounding utilities, seawall replacements, and other efforts to help, again, mitigate any future flooding and those types of issues that we're facing.
Undergrounding utilities is a big one for me, but even bigger is, and I know it's from federal and comes down through the state, but the increase in property insurance costs due to the new 2.0 from FEMA. When you raise your home, you don't get any discount any longer. And I think as a city or as cities with big C and any coastal city in the state of Florida, my understanding is that Louisiana is suing FEMA and that the state of Florida has signed on to that suit. But I think through our lobbyist at the state level, I think we need to push that to see what can be done. It's just not fair that a single-family home at grade would pay the same amount of flood insurance that one that complies, that has been elevated or rebuilt to FEMA standards and not get any discount for that elevation.
Just going to jump on the undergrounding. That would have been the one thing that I would be very interested in.
I think it would be interesting to understand to ask the question, if funds for undergrounding for private is even attainable. Because when you're in a neighborhood, that's residential undergrounding. Maybe, hopefully Shoemaker can come here and we can ask those types of questions of him. But this is about specifically when Linda's office sent the email giving this, he sent the email to myself and Robin that it would be open for us to start submitting this week things that we want. And she has to submit, if you look at the schedule, she has until November to finish. She can start filing on the 18th, Representative Cheney. And I would tell you that we've not done a good job of being mindfully respectful to her by any stretch of the imagination, and that we need to decide what we want to ask for sooner than later. I had hoped that when we came here tonight, there was going to be a list from staff specific to what they want. Because when you start talking, well, look at the budget, that's not what I'm thinking. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about specific things that we want to have out, that we want to advocate to get, monies that we want. What is that we want? Right? Because then we want to have those conversations and push for that. And I think I asked Robin what went to Representative Luna because she reached out, and I never really understood what we asked her to get for us. She had reached out to us, and he sent a list, or he sent her the list, put it in the portal, but I don't know what actually went in there. So I think we need to collectively, we should have a voice in what we're asking for the city. I think it would be important for staff to come and say, here's the projects that I'm working on, understanding they're in the budget. I understand that. Here's the projects I'm working on. Pitch me. Why does your project deserve us to fight for money? You know what I mean? To make it a priority. Because the budget explodes in part because we have all these projects. And you've asked for this in the past on the budget. What does it cost for the day-to-day operations of the city? Separate that out from all the other minutia that we're doing, that is grants and that is projects. Take all that away and show me what it costs to run the city, just to run it, to pay the staff, run the city day in, day out. But this is very important that we get this right and that we make the right choices, because it's not just for today. This will be it'll be years of projects. The money will be.
Is this on the next workshop agenda?
It should. I wrote it down
we'll
to
put it
ask
down.
for it to be added, yes. I think it's a workshop. I mean, we needed to start the discussion here so that everyone could start having that, thinking about that. But, I mean, there's been floated different things to do within our community over the last 2.5 years, that different departments have come and presented things that they wanted. And in my mind, some of those things are never going to happen unless we get funding. We're not building a basketball court and walkovers, and that was a plan I saw several months ago prior to the hurricane. That's never going to happen without funding. Our taxpayers' money is not going to pay for that, not out of pocket. So,
Were you instrumental in putting this on the agenda?
the email just came to Robin and
I
I.
just wanted to thank you.
Well, it's a big deal.
It is a big deal.
It's a big
It's
deal.
huge deal.
The relationships that we have with our state and federal elected officials are very, very important, because those are the people who can do for us they're the ones that can put money in our pocket to be able to fund what our city needs.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Robin, on that, do we have a dredging update?
So our contractor, Aptim, met with, and I listened in with the Florida Department of Environmental Protection, and it's been going back and forth now for several weeks on the processes that Aptim has described for the turbidity monitoring. So once the dredging begins, you are required to have monitors to keep sediment and anything else from going into areas that may negatively impact other marine life or seagrass, which is very important, or anything that is beyond the actual dredging area. So that was the 20 minutes discussion back and forth. What shall we use? Aptim stated what they submitted, which are these turbidity type currents designed for a certain, to withstand a certain speed of the flow of the current, plus anything that may increase. FDEP is wanting something much different. They didn't go into the specifics of what they're looking for, but they're working. FDEP is going to review what has been submitted and then get back to Aptim to say whether that is or is not acceptable. Aptim stated that the methods that they've proposed have been approved by FDEP as recent as the most recent dredging in the Grand Canal area, apparently. But so that was the discussion, and that's where they are now trying to resolve that, what appears to be the final component of the FDEP permit. Permit from you, the Corps says once we receive your permit from FDEP, the Corps will issue the permit. There is a permit issued from FDOT. The specifications for the dredging are completed by Aptim, and once the permit is issued from FDEP, and the Corps will issue their permit, and then the bid will go out.
Okay. Any additional questions about the legislative?
I just would love to go to Tallahassee with our group once a year. I think talking about building relationships can make such a big difference. I go there every year, and I know how impactful it is. When you go up there and you shake hands, you go and talk to them in their offices. It just connects us with them, and they would be willing to do more for us if they know at least we're taking a step to go and meet them up there.
Any additional comments? Okay. Then we will move on to the agenda setting. Robin, could we add legislative session and dredging to that?
Yes, yeah, we give an update on the dredging at each workshop. There'll be the 2026 legislative session. I'll provide also an update on grants and other code violation fines, the processes as we discussed earlier. And then the items listed on on tonight's agenda, the terrain modification update, building permit fees, the waiver review and possible extension, the America 250 celebration, frontier communications infrastructure repair removal, noise ordinance, and Florida Department of Transportation debris staging agreement. And anything else the commission would like to add?
Could we add Purple Heart to it? A lot of cities are adopting Purple Heart to be the city to be a Purple Heart city. So
designated as a Purple Heart city?
Yes.
Okay, Purple Heart.
Do we have any public comment?
Of course, you knew I would have public comment. John Hendricks, 569 Normandy Road. Something I would like for you to put on the workshop. I have no skin in the game. I have shown our mayor a piece of property that is on high ground, that has a functioning building, that is very close to the city. I know the owner. It is on the market for $2.1 million. The owner has told me that if the city is interested, they would be willing to sell it to the city for 1.8. I would like to take y'all individually to see that property and then have it discussed on the workshop so that the city can move forward. So if y'all want. Okay.
How big is the property?
It's a city block wide, probably 100, 150 feet deep. So.
As Vice Mayor said, sign me up.
It can't hurt to look. It doesn't cost anything to look. But I'd like to see the city make a good decision if they're going to purchase property. And, and something that has an existing building that may need some work, probably more cosmetic than anything. I think it would fit into what the city needs. Mr. Gomez, you're welcome to go up there also and take a look.
So maybe we could just have a line item. Oh, I'm sorry. Are you done?
No, that'd be great, but I would like to do that with y'all individually before the workshop so that you can have a chance to think about it and see what your feelings are on it. But certainly it would be, if y'all are bound and determined to get another piece of property to put a building on, this is a great alternative. It leaves the marina open if you've decided you're don't want to go the route that previous commission did want to go, and that we've already spent a ton of money on engineering and drawings and all that. But think about it. If you want to put it on there, I'm more than happy to take y'all up there and show you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any additional public comment? So Robin, maybe we could just put on the agenda a line item to discuss property in general. Any other comments or questions?
So you did add the Florida legislative
Yes.
session? Okay. Great. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, I just wanted to thank our previous Mayor, John Hendricks, to be here to give us some of his feedback. I think it has been extremely helpful.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so next on the agenda is reports and correspondence. Board of Commissioners 2025 BOC meeting schedule.
Just wanted to, just to make everyone aware, as we're approaching kind of the second half of the year, we are in October. We have a workshop on the 27th of this month, then our two regular meetings on the 10th and the 24th, which also include our first and second readings for the budget, first and second readings, public hearings for our fiscal 26 budget. Then our next regular meeting will be on October the 1st and not the regular October the 8th. So Wednesday, October the 1st, as is listed on the schedule, with the workshop on the regular 22nd of October. And then in November, we only have one date with both the regular meeting and the workshop. Excuse me, the workshop followed by the regular meeting in November, and then the same in December on December the 10th. So just to go over those for the rest of this calendar year. And if any changes, now would be a good time if anybody's proposing any changes. If not, it stays for the time being as I just stated.
I'd like to propose a change
For this year?
for 2026.
Oh, we're not to that yet.
Oh, okay.
We're on 2025 first.
Sorry, that's the next thing.
It's okay.
I'm sorry.
Is 2025 good with everybody?
Yes.
Thank you. So 2020, sorry, Mayor, I took your.
So the next on the agenda is 2026 VOC meeting schedule.
And we did update the schedule to reflect some changes from the last discussion of this, and I believe that was for April. We are meeting on April the 8th, the 29th, instead of the 22nd, for the workshop, excuse me. But sure, any other changes?
I would like to propose that in March, that we move both meetings up by a week. So it would be March 4th, March 4th and March 18th. So you'd still have the 2 weeks between, but it would just work out with my schedule.
I don't have an issue with that.
It'd be March 4th and March 18th. So it still has plenty of time between meetings, so if that's okay.
And just a question, Clara, with the election, the 18th is fine, I believe?
March the 18th. The
The election is on the 10th.
10th, and I don't think so. We should get the certification by that Thursday.
By the 12th, 13th at the
We
latest.
can read the results at the next meeting.
Okay.
So that'll work perfect for March.
It'd be okay?
Yeah.
Should be
Great.
okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
I want to let the commission know that I do have a conflict. I have Safety Harbor that night on the 18th, and so I'll be sending a different lawyer here for this meeting.
You're going to send somebody in your place?
Yes, ma'am.
What if we like them better?
That's a big possibility, I understand. Just let me know.
I very much doubt that, but I didn't ask if we had any public comment on either one of those items. No public comment.
Mayor?
Yes.
I just want to add one thing. Now, depending on when we get that election results, that's the only reason there's not, because our regular meeting's on the 11th. That's the only reason there's not a special meeting on there yet.
Right.
After that.
Right.
Yeah.
For swearing in the new commissioners.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next on the agenda is Board of Commissioners reports correspondence. I have something that I would like to report or correspond with you all. I would like to address performance of our city manager. When I first joined the commission, my impression of Robin was from outside looking in, and it was very positive. Unfortunately, my experience since then has become very different. I feel that we now have a city manager who does not lead his team and will not acknowledge the need for leadership. I personally have lost confidence in his ability to fulfill his role. Over my time on the commission, I've raised numerous concerns and brought forward issues within the city to this dais. Just a few examples that have led to my decision to tell you this tonight is the dredging project, the jetty, the lack of updates as requested, inaccurate information provided to the commission, as an example, the wreck truck, the condition of the jetty, the staff that work from home or do not. There are many other items that I could add to that list. Failure to prioritize critical city needs, including post-hurricane recovery efforts, not adhering to the city's purchasing policy. As an example, installing the pilings out in the water and then removing them, even though he was asked by commissioners to please not do that until we had a meeting. I'm sure that none of you here tonight were prepared for this conversation or for me to bring this to light. I would like to have additional conversation on the matter. I would like to see us go out and search for a new city manager, whether it's an interim city manager temporarily and then a full-time, I don't know. That's for a, I believe, a workshop or a special meeting conversation. And at that time, I'd welcome Robin to apply for the position, in my opinion, but I feel very strongly that it is our responsibility to ensure that we have leadership in our city and the leadership that our city deserves. So I would like, in inquiring into the process of this and what we are required to do, we need to have a meeting where this is agended so that we can have a discussion and the public can have the opportunity to attend and share their opinions if they so choose. And we can do that by calling a special meeting, which I would prefer to do, than to just let it sit for 2 weeks until we have a workshop. So, do we have any public comment? Commissioners?
But before we do anything hasty, I certainly would like to get other opinions, city
Yes.
workers, residents, businesses. I would like to not have this happen like it's happened in the past. Let's make a thoughtful decision and give city staff and city manager an opportunity to
Absolutely.
respond.
I'm not prepared to have this
That's okay.
conversation.
That's why I'm bringing it up, so that we can schedule a meeting and have the conversation.
It never hurts to discuss this, so I mean, I'm for having a conversation, why not?
I think a lot of the issues that you brought up are very important to the city. They're very important to the residents. I'm not quite sure where we go from here. I think the discussion, the meeting is very important. I know that some of the issues that have been brought up are very important to a lot of the residents.
So I think my understanding from asking the city attorney is that we can schedule a meeting.
That's fine.
Is there input from the commission on when that would work for your schedules?
Would you suggest a date that we already have on the calendar and then just an earlier time?
I would rather not wait 2 weeks to have the discussion. I am personally available any day next week.
Next Wednesday?
I can do next Wednesday.
I'm free next.
Well, I have conversations with the mayor at 5 o'clock, so we'd have to do it earlier in the day if we did it on Wednesday.
Wednesdays, all day is good for me.
I can make it work.
I'm fine on Wednesday.
So an earlier, what time?
Just, I want to jump in. I am not available at all that day.
Oh,
So
that's
if you-
right,
If
no.
you want me to be present at the meeting, I cannot make it that day. I have Tampa Special Magistrate hearings all day and then Safety Harbor that night, so.
Could Thursday work? Or Tuesday?
Thursday is fine. Tuesday night, I've got Oldsmar, so Thursday would work best if you're going to have a workshop or a special meeting for me.
Thursday, the 21st, I have to work on the 21st at 6 p.m. So daytime would work.
Daytime?
Yeah.
Do something in the daytime on the 21st?
I'll make myself available.
Does that work? So what time?
Yes.
I make myself available.
Tom, what time would,
Anytime.
Really ask Commissioner Taglerini.
yes,
Well, I mean, the earlier the better, so I don't run the risk of,
2 o'clock?
yeah.
So 2 p.m.
Yes.
2 p.m.
on the 21st?
And is this going to be a special meeting, or is this going to be a workshop meeting? Because that makes a difference.
What should it be preferably, Tom?
Open discussion on items like this would normally be a workshop meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then a workshop.
So that's on the 21st at 2 p.m.?
At 2 p.m.
Are we going to, I mean, obviously it's going to be open to the employees and the public, right? What?
Yes.
Will it need to be advertised?
It will be.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Anything additional? Do you have any comments?
No.
To share?
Regarding that,
Anything?
I'm waiting for the next item 16.
Oh, me too. But, all right, so next on the agenda is city attorney.
I have nothing tonight. Thank you. You've handled all my issues today.
Next on the agenda then is city clerk, Board of Commissioners meeting report.
Yes, ma'am. The report is through July 31st, complete. And I apologize for earlier. I couldn't really hardly hear because of the overhead sound. This vent doesn't go off.
It's loud.
It does. I don't think it even shut off at all tonight.
It's just now getting cool in here.
Yeah.
Right.
It's been hot.
Well, it was doing that in my office for the last couple of years. It would just not stop. And the AC person had found that something had broke that caused all that noise and air to come right into my office, and I was like freezing. And I'm just wondering if that might be what might be happening here. I don't know.
Thank you,
But
Claire.
they fixed it though, and I'm comfortable.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is the city manager's report, July 2025.
So Mayor and Commission, just to give you updates on for the month of July, a lot of reminders, residents regarding the time of year with the heat, the humidity, making sure that people avoid going out when thunderstorms, et cetera, stay hydrated, remember the pets. Reminders of, we're obviously during hurricane season, make sure people have their supplies and are ready. Fortunately, I guess the one tropical storm that's out there appears to be moving away, but still kind of early to make that determination. Reminding people to sign up for Pinellas, Ready Pinellas, to be updated on emergency planning and emergency situations that the county updates. Other reminders on when post-disaster for numbers to reach City Hall and different departments. Our disposal, there's still as part of storm preparation, there are exemptions for various, exemptions from sales tax for various items that could be used, including batteries and tarps, gas cans, et cetera. Also more reminders about sea turtle nesting. I think earlier today I counted about 12 or 13 nests out on the sand. So just reminding again, be mindful of the nests and not go touch them or alter them in any way. Also, folks can sign up for our emails to be notified of upcoming city meetings, city events. We continue advertising for the Citizens Academy that is slated to begin on October 1. At the end of this month, the selections will be, or depending on the number of applicants, we will have a class hopefully to begin October 1. Also, we continue providing weekly updates on our permitting, the data of the number of permits issued. As of last week, we were up over 2,500 permits that had been issued, 2,800 permits that had been issued. Obviously, that's grown since last week. Our consultant for the master plan, again, is getting close to completing the plan. So we'll have updates continue to have updates over the next week. Also information on our fiscal 26 budget for the next year. Again, looking to keep the millage rate the same. But again, having the last public hearing the next workshop on the budget on the 27th. Also listed, similar to the prior month, information on our financial transparency, the online portal that a Clarion where folks can look up for budget information, actual revenues, expenditures, reminding folks of keeping our beach clean. We continue to, thanks to the Trash Pirates and the Coastal Crusaders, keep Pinellas Beautiful for having the monthly cleanups and helping to keep our city clean. We have included in here the Public Works update on our existing projects, from the Military Court of Honor to some of the storm preparations. As I mentioned to all of you, we did have the Moby mat installed next to the jetty out at Johns Pass Park. Also, I didn't list in here, but also the county installed a mobility mat at the county park that reopened on August the 1st. And just the reminders about mosquito control. We had a Pinellas County mosquito control out here on the last meeting, and just to give updates for, continue to remind folks that they can call them, they can email them, and they will go out and look at properties. Thank you to our fire department and the mayor for participating on Back to School Day, which was this past Monday, just reminding folks of the school zones and to watch out for, obviously, folks walking to school and obey the marked crosswalks, et cetera. Just jumping, listed some of our revenues for the marina, which are stabilizing post-storm. We continue to see positive sales on fuel and other sundry items that are sold at the marina. Our parking revenue also has increased or surpassed same time period for the prior month. July was actually our largest grossing month, but keep in mind we did increase the rate from $3 to $4 an hour. So that's a positive. We hope to end up the year with over $3 million in collections. Last year we were at just over $3.8 million, so we would be a little bit less than the what we had projected for the parking revenue. And just other reminders and information on our Gulf Beaches Public Library and the Barrier Islands Governmental Council, or the Big C, with the next meeting being the 27th of August at the City of St. Pete Beaches, hosting at their community center. And then lastly, just update on upcoming events, including these meetings, the conversations with the mayor, Village Fridays, and the Village Friday, which is this Friday, and then Burger Week, which also begins this week and runs through August the 24th. So happy to answer any questions you may have.
Public comment? Commissioners, comments, questions?
Real quick, on the county park across on Gulf Boulevard, I've noticed they still have a lot of fencing up. When will they be completely done? Do you know?
They didn't, the last update was it would be several months, upwards of 6 months before they complete. They have to repair that row of parking, so that asphalt, the sidewalk that was there, and that's where the 2 showers were located, well, currently where 1 shower was located, and then the wall that was there, that all needs to be redone completely.
Okay, thank you.
Anything?
Good to go.
Anything? Comment? No?
Not on the city manager report.
Okay, so the next on the agenda is respond to public comments, questions.
Mayor, I'd like to respond to a comment that was made by a member that was in the audience earlier regarding people staying at City Hall after the hurricane. Frankly, I'm disappointed that gibberish is still going around. I'll call it just that. I was here on the night of the flood. This place was, as many of you were, it was a disaster, a catastrophe. I had to hike out with all my belongings because my cars were destroyed, and I watched all down the streets, the devastation. It wasn't just a hurricane, it was a 150-year event. I wonder how many city managers whose houses were destroyed, would have stayed and continued to work 24/7 for several weeks. I don't know. Maybe all of them, maybe none of them. During that time, a few residents popped up asking questions, and they were offered a place to stay. And some did. So the idea that some people have special privileges, no, we had an employee who sacrificed his time with his family, and his family did stay here for a short time. It made it easier for him to do his job without charging any overtime, without asking for any wages, just for his regular salary for weeks and weeks and weeks. So I just wanted to say I felt that comment was out of line.
So one of the purposes to me of doing this is I take notes on what people said so that we can address it. And there was a comment made about our budget, and I did bring that up in a previous discussion about having it separated out where not only us, but the public can look at what is the actual day-to-day operating budget, separating out projects. The rollback rate, usually that's lower, but we know from our budgets that if we had opted for the rollback rate, taxes would have actually gone up because of the hurricane and the things that happened with property tax. And that when we look at our budget, I would like to be mindful of, although we do only have less than 100 employees and we do only have 4,000 residents, we do have over 3.5 million people a year who come here. So when we're staffing and we look at the staff that we have and what they do, they're really servicing many more people than just the residents. So I would like for us to have at our budget meeting a better understanding of that clear down the line. I think the community would like to see it. We've asked for it. We've asked for other budget. I've asked over and over and over for the list of how many employees work for each department head. How many employees does Director Wepfer have? How many employees does Director Hatch have? So on and so forth. And I know that I believe that will be a part of our packet next in our budget meeting. But that's taken a long time to get that there, and a lot of asks. So I think that'll be really good. The second person who spoke talked about our millage rate being so high. We haven't raised our millage rate in a really long time. And I think that when you think about what you're putting in reserves, you have to think about long term. You're not thinking about how much money you need for this year, but how much money are you going to need in 10 years for road projects and whatnot. And that we don't look that far out when we're budgeting, but I do think that we're mindful of that we need the money to accrue to be able to pay for the road projects that are needed if we don't get the funding from the government, right? And then post-storm, the city manager stayed here and he worked. So it is a shame that in the media, in the public, somebody picked that up and made an issue out of that because that wasn't a fair thing to do. But I really would like to understand the dollars because it's hard to explain the dollars when you can't see the numbers.
I sent an email this morning I got it wrong and was corrected because I copied the city manager. I meant to send it to Andrew Laughlin.
Oh.
And I sent it to Andrew Morris, but he quickly, after Andrew Morris had a heart attack, it was corrected and sent to Mr. Laughlin.
You did that on purpose, didn't you?
But it's to that
Yeah.
matter. It was a couple other things. That I won't go into here, but it was mainly that perception that our budget, and maybe it has.
I want to
But
see it.
it's hard to say. We expect an operating budget that's going to increase incrementally, and also our revenues are going to increase incrementally. Well, what's that really look like? We've asked
Right.
for it
And we've never gotten
many
it.
times.
Yes.
And we have not received it. Hopefully, Mr. Laughlin's we'll respond to that with our next budget meeting, and we'll have a better understanding. I mean, it's a lot of detailed information in those budgets. It kind of it gets you kind of glassy-eyed after a while, and then when you ask a question on an item, it's explained away, but you know, we do this. Some of us do it full-time. Some of us do it part-time, but you can't expect residents that gives, you know, so many hours that they can each month to really comprehend and bring that together. It should be a better way to present it to us.
I could not agree more.
So, and in regards to city manager staying here and sleeping here, he worked for the city. If he was awake, he was working for the city. So I take personal offense to people making that comment. You know, I understand everyone was displaced. You can't put a whole city in City Hall. He had to work here, and you know, I give accolades to his response over the weeks and months following the storm. So, thank you. Thank you.
Any additional comments?
One night I came here around 11 o'clock during that hurricane, and I was just walking, and our city manager was at work 11 o'clock at night. Not only him, but also he engaged his family. Commendable.
If we have nothing further, it is 9:25 and we are adjourned.